we on the air?
We're on the air.
Hello.
Hello. Fuck.
This
Movie.
Yay.
So this week on Fuck This Movie, my picks get submarined by the new Robert Eggers flick.
Yeah.
And,
A worthy cause.
you know,
It is.
outside of that, it's going to be business as usual. So welcome. I'd like to welcome my co-host. He's too old to be cool, Mr. John Brown.
That's me. Way too old.
And the man who watched everything, Mr. Reese Anweiler.
That's me.
For,
What's your name?
I am he who shall not be named. But, just for short, it's
nothing more.
it's RA and JB in the booth with me. That's what their friends call them.
It's true. R.A.
All the time. Constantly.
So we always like to kick it off with Ben watching, and the new Robert Eggers Nosferatu
Yeah.
is something that we've all seen, and it's kind of sparked a little shit. So let's do a quick, just give me a couple things that you've been watching, 2 or 3 things, and 2 or 3 things not named Nosferatu, because Nosferatu is just going to move to the feature portion.
Most of what I've been watching is basically Nosferatu.
Okay,
well,
skip
I
all
got
of that.
I got one.
If you got
at
anything
least.
that's not Nosferatu,
Yeah,
that would be the time.
I watched Karate Kid the other day.
Oh,
The
for the
original-
first time?
Yeah. No. Hell no.
Oh, okay.
No, I mean first time in 20 fucking years.
Yeah.
Plus, you know.
Yeah.
Way more just fun fucking movie, man. Like
Yeah, it holds up.
it does hold up. It holds up really well, and
I'm actually,
Yeah.
I'm one of like 10 people who's excited for the new Karate Kids Legends.
no, you told me about that. And that actually sounds really
It's
fun.
like a team up.
Yeah, it's basically Daniel LaRusso and Mr. Han from the reboot. Team
Like
up.
Jackie Chan, right?
Yeah, Jackie
Yeah.
Chan. Yeah.
That's kind of fun.
It is fun.
Does
It
it
is
have
fun.
Smith? Jade?
I don't think he's in it.
Smith?
I don't think he's in it. I think that it's a
Probably
new student, and Mr. Han teams up with like Daniel LaRusso to
Yeah, that sounds really
train
fun.
some
I mean,
untrainable guy kind of
Yeah.
a thing.
Yeah.
some street kid,
Yeah.
probably.
Some hoodlum.
Yeah. No, that sounds.
It's like turns out Mr. Han was like acquaintances with Mr. Miyagi, and
Yeah.
and like they turn it into a whole story, and I think that's kind of sweet.
No, it makes
Yeah.
sense.
And it's a cool name too, like Karate Kids Legends.
Yeah.
You know, like, and it works because they like wisely didn't use the same names in the reboot, so
Right.
that you can like,
Actually do this.
It
Yeah.
allows this to be possible. You know.
Mhm. Yeah, for sure. No, it was a great film, super entertaining. Especially my kids have been watching Cobra Kai, which was good up to a point. So we wanted to show them the origin story. So we'll probably end up watching the rest of them along the way. At least the
I
first
still,
like,
I still
3.
to this day swear by Karate Kid Part 2.
Yeah.
I think it's still a very like
Is that the one where he goes to Japan?
it's Okinawa.
Yeah,
Or-
it's in
yeah,
Japan. Yeah.
That is the second one, though.
Yeah.
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 I can't even think about what happens in the other.
The third one is just like
How many was he in? Was he in 3 or 4?
he was in 3.
Yeah. I can't think of what happened in the third one at all.
The third one is where they have the Mike Barnes like bad boy guy, and it's basically like a repeat of there's peer pressure to do the same thing that he did in the first one, which is compete in that same tournament.
Yeah. Ugh.
And like Mr. Miyagi doesn't want to train him because tournaments are stupid. And, you know, Daniel is defiant because he really wants to defend his title.
Right.
And I don't know. There's some good jokes, like basically Daniel gets taken under the wing by like a bad guy.
Right.
Unbeknownst to him, he
Yeah,
becomes
yeah.
like a Cobra Kai.
Right.
He becomes a Cobra Kai for a fucking movie. But then he comes back to.
Yeah.
It's funny though. It's because the Cobra Kai. He's like, hey, he meets this Cobra Kai guy, this Terry, and he's just like, hey, you know what you really need to learn? You need to learn how to front sweep. He's like, I've seen who you're going to be up against in this tournament, and like they're all suckers for front sweeps. And he's just like, oh fuck, I need to learn this front sweep.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, it's a pretty basic move. I think you should have learned it by now. But,
Yeah, especially since it happened to you.
yeah. So he like asked Mr. Miyagi, and he's like, can you teach me? He's like, I'm not asking you to train me for this tournament, but if you could just show me one thing, if you could show me how to sweep. And he's like, yeah, I'll be right back. And he comes back with a broom.
Yeah.
And he's like, tell him how to hold it. And he's
Yeah.
just like, oh, fine. You know? Just the very Pat Morita sense of humor.
Yeah. No, it was super fun for sure. Glad I watched it. I've been wanting to for a while. I'm actually working on some tattoos that are gonna be like two leg socks that are gonna be Cobra Kai, or one is Cobra Kai and the other is gonna be Miyagi-Do. So I wanted to go through and watch all those just to get like
Shout out to Mr.
little
Jeff
things.
Cutler.
Yeah, good guy Jeff Cutler. Other than that, there's one thing I didn't talk about last time that I meant to. The Substance. Didn't talk about that last time. Did you see that yet?
Still haven't seen it.
Demi Moore won a Golden Globe.
She did.
Every time I fucking tie one of these movies to someone, it's like, don't worry, I won't watch it without you. And then I end up waiting like 3 years to watch it.
I was hoping you
make,
would have seen it by now, but it's all right. It's a fucking it's a fucking show, man. It's a crazy thing. I am pretty sure I know what they were doing and where they were going. I think.
Did they get there?
They did. If what I think is where they were going, I mean, it's really hard to tell.
Is the thing
it's just so like it's so everywhere to a degree because it seems obvious, then it's not as obvious. Then you get distracted by a bunch of gratuitous ass shots, and then a bunch of gratuitous violence and a bunch of gratuitous blood.
Oh, yeah, we talked about this weekend. You were adamant that there's like an inordinate amount of ass shots.
Yeah, I mean,
somebody's ass is just like 90%
it's
of the movie.
The younger chick that plays the younger Demi Moore. I've never seen her in anything after that.
Oh yeah, you have.
Probably.
She was in Poor Things, the second attempt at a Bella. That's the actress.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
She's good. She keeps popping up places.
No, she's very good. Her performance is very good.
I actually think I might be wrong, but if you recall, in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, the chick that Brad Pitt picks up.
Yeah.
She's like,
sure.
I'm old enough. And he's like, are you?
Yeah.
I think that's her.
No, I think so too. No, it's a super good movie. Technically, it's very fucking well made. Wonderful cinematography, great shots, great pacing. Just keeps you in the thing while you're just super confused about what the fuck's actually happening. What I think the movie is basically just look how ugly show business is.
Yeah.
Essentially. Because, like, at first, you see Demi Moore's character, who's a failing actress, or was an actress, and then she had a fucking exercise show, and then she's too old to do that anymore, so they replace her for a younger model. And so she's beat up about that. And then she gets word of some program that can make her young again. And this is one thing that fucked me up about the movie, too. Like, I thought, like, okay, she's going to take this stuff, the substance, and she's going to, like, become young. No, it's not her becoming young. It's a young person climbing out of her. Like, that caught me way off guard.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? Okay, cool. And then they have to share experience. And so she's, like, vain.
No more.
Okay.
I'm
okay,
pretty.
right.
It's too much. I want to watch
This movie's been out for like 8 months now.
It's a ride. That's what I'll say.
And I really
everybody.
don't know that much about it.
No.
I know like
I don't want to spoil anything because it's a hell of a thing to experience. So I definitely recommend that everybody should watch it. But I think the overarching theme is just like this shit's kind of ugly and fucked up.
Yeah.
And they portray that well. They capture it well. Great performances by everybody. There is a lot of ass.
Hell yeah.
Whatever her name is, you see her ass highlighted like for a good 20 minutes, it seems.
Solid. Just like her ass on screen for 20 minutes in a row.
Like
She's just walking around with her ass hanging out.
No, they go out of their way to like, because it's like the celebration of once she's young. She's like, I'm young, and it's just like fucking just constant.
Yeah.
Coming back to just like boom ass.
Yeah.
She's stretching. Boom ass.
Just gets a dress where her ass is like literally exposed.
Yeah. But no, wonderful film though. You should watch it. It's weird and fucked up, but a lot of my favorite films are that. What the fuck else have I been watching? I mean, everything else has been kind of tied to Nosferatu, I think.
Yeah.
Other than like finishing up a random series here. Oh, I did start watching the Band of Brothers. Old HBO World War II show with my son. I got the first episode under our belt. I haven't seen it since it came out. Excited to watch more of that. I haven't seen a good war production in a long time, and that's a good one. So I'm excited to get back to it. That has a crazy cast too. Got guys probably didn't do that much. Like it probably made some of their careers, I think, or helped too. So
Yeah, that's the kind of show you'll just keep seeing faces pop up.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for
Simon Pegg, he's in it for like
I
2 minutes.
Yeah, no, I saw him in the first episode. I'm like, that's fucking just trying to place it in.
Yeah,
Telltale.
Nathan Fillion shows up at one point. Yeah, there's like literally dozens of people in there that just went on to become very famous.
Yeah. No, it's great. I remember it being great. I'm excited to finish it. So I think that pretty much is it from me as far as what I've been watching.
I kind of like summed up my holidays. Last time you heard us, it was right before. Was it right before Christmas? New Year. Was it after Christmas? I don't even remember.
It was right before Christmas.
Right
Right before Christmas. So my holiday movies, other than the ones I was assigned.
I guess Gremlins. I gotta say. I
was gonna say Gremlins.
December 18th was our last episode.
Gremlins. I think it's just the best Christmas movie.
It's a goddamn just barrel of fun, man. Like I watched that Christmas Eve cooking dinner for the family, and like, yeah, it's just. I forgot the amount of debauchery the little fuckers get into.
Yeah,
the
maniacal, like constant maniacal laughter.
Movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's just a constant fucking debauchery. It takes no time at all. It's just shit's out of hand.
It gets out of control in a hurry.
Yeah, there's so much fun.
It's kind of like Out of Space. The fucking video game we play.
Yeah.
It's just like things are going good, and then all of a sudden everything's fucked.
Yeah.
And then I also on Christmas Eve. So this was my Christmas Eve. I watched Gremlins, and then I finally got to see Violent Night for the first time.
Oh, nice.
It was a lot of fun.
It's a fun movie. That's
this is the Harper, David Harper one.
Yes.
Whatever his name.
Yeah. His name it's Harbor.
Harbor.
I think his name is Harper in the series.
In Stranger Things, he plays Harbor.
Yeah.
His name is David Harbour.
Yeah, David Harbour. Basically he's like a Viking Santa Claus. A lot of action, a lot of comedy. There is one scene at the end that goes like way too Care Bears for me. You know, it's like I remember seeing like when I was a kid seeing Care Bears 2, I think it was, and like one of the Care Bears or like some little kid dies and like and like her like little brother is like, oh my god, my actions have led to my sister to die, and like the Care Bears are like, let's all join a circle. We all join hands, and if we all care enough, maybe we can bring her back to life.
I do believe in fairies.
So when it's like a whole bunch of bears and this kid saying "we care" over and over again, and like this movie kind of has that scene at the end where it's just like, I believe in Santa.
Yeah,
I believe too.
Well, I mean,
it's like
it is a fucking Santa movie.
Yeah,
like, that's the whole shtick. So.
But I mean, like it was just had all the makings of something better than that. And then they did that.
Yeah, it's. I mean, to have that included though, that's just like that is the thing. So
I guess
I don't think you
could. As far as a Christmas, it's a Christmas movie, so I'm going to grade it on a curve. And the wife enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. We'll probably watch it for many Christmases to come.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
No, that is definitely
it was a good watch.
Character, but so you didn't want me to spoil John Leguizamo's death? Wasn't that hilarious when he goes up through the chimney? Yeah.
A lot of the death scenes were funny. And then the only other thing I have besides that's not vampire related is Complete Unknown, the new fucking Bob Dylan movie starring Timothy Chalamet. If you like Bob Dylan, you'll love it. If you don't know anything about Bob Dylan, you'll probably love it. If you hate Bob Dylan, you might not like it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Also, Bob Dylan. Terrible human being.
Yeah. What do
I hope you choke
get the
off
fuck out of here.
Fucking avocado pit or something.
Go to Russia.
But really good film. For me, it's the best it's the best film I've seen so far from 2024. So.
Yeah.
I've still got a lot to go,
list.
but it was fucking great. I loved everything about it. I saw it the same night that I saw Nosferatu.
I can't imagine it's better than Nosferatu.
It just is. I'm sorry.
Well, I got a shit ton of stuff because all I've been doing on my time off from the holidays is watching movies. So I guess I'll just have to narrow it down a lot. keep it to the highlights. I watched a movie from 1960 called Peeping Tom. This is from one of the directors of The Red Shoes,
Okay.
Michael Powell. It is shocking. This came out like the same year. Like actually, I think like literally within a couple months of Psycho.
Okay.
And some of the things that people hold up, and Psycho's incredible, right? But some of the things that people hold up Psycho as like, Psycho invented this.
Right.
This movie also does.
Yeah.
Like it has the POV of the killer killing the
Right.
victim and stuff. And it's like, it's insane that the movies aren't always mentioned in the same breath because they're very similar. I love this movie. It was really great because it's only about an hour, 40 minutes long. And I think about an hour and 10 minutes in, I just like realized I had absolutely no clue where the movie was going to go. And I was
Right.
like, this is really exciting.
Yeah. No, that's fun. Yeah, when you can actually have that.
Yeah, I highly recommend it. I've got the Criterion 4K. It might be on the Criterion channel also.
I'm sure it is.
I got to see a Nora in theaters.
Yeah, I really want to watch that one a lot.
Yeah, did you watch The Florida Project, John?
No, I haven't been able to yet.
This guy's a really interesting director. His movies are just so down to earth and real. A lot of times he's using actors that aren't
Yeah,
like
you mentioned
professional
that,
actors.
Yeah.
I highly recommend it. It's
Oh,
just
that's
kind of
sweet.
like an experience of a movie. Really enjoyed it. I finally started over and finished Devs. Really, really liked that.
Oh, I fucking love that series.
Great if you want just a really, really unique, I think it's 9-episode sci-fi miniseries. Highly recommend it. Great cast, great everything. Like the score, the visuals, It's really good.
Whole package.
I watched the animated movie that's based on the graphic novel, Persepolis. If you are familiar with this one.
I'm
it's
familiar.
The graphic novel's
yeah.
an
I wanted to watch that really
autobiography.
bad. Is that
Yeah.
solid, I presume?
Oh, yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
Loved it.
No, I really wanted to watch that. That's one that just kind of like was really high on my list, and then just so much shit happens and I forgot. But yeah, I really want to watch that.
It's very effective as like a biopic
Yeah.
or an autobiography in that like you really feel, you understand like
Right.
the things this person has witnessed and stuff. I watched a Japanese a manga or an anime film called Inio. It's kind of hard to describe.
Let me see this
It's
one.
very, very odd. It's set in like
Okay.
feudal Japan about like a disfigured person teaming up with a blind musician and then becoming like kind of superstars
Oh,
as
okay.
musicians. But it's wild. You have to watch this movie. It's super good. Skip. For New Year's Eve, I got some friends together and we watched all movies that were having major anniversaries in 2025.
Okay.
So I picked out 10 movies,
Right.
starting with 100-year anniversary for Battleship Potemkin, and then I picked 90-year anniversary, 80-year anniversary, 70-year,
Right.
all the way. And then obviously we didn't have time to watch all 10, but we watched the Battleship Potemkin, celebrating its 100th anniversary. We watched Bride of Frankenstein, celebrating its 90th anniversary.
It's one of my favorite movies of all time.
It was very,
I think it's the greatest sequel ever made.
we were 30 minutes in the movie and I got out Letterboxd. I was so curious to see if it was listed as a horror comedy because it's goofy. It is like straight up goofy at points. There's like characters that only are in the movie for like comedic relief. It's
Right.
very, very odd. I guess horror is just so different. Also, spoiler, Bride of Frankenstein does not show up until the last 5 minutes of
Yeah.
the movie.
Yeah.
Then let's see, we watched.
It is basically just Frankenstein 2.
It really is.
Yeah.
Also interesting because I don't think I've ever actually seen the original that Frankenstein all the way through. And I've seen Young Frankenstein like a dozen times, and there are scenes in Bride of Frankenstein that are just directly lifted into Young Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Very funny.
Yeah, Young Frankenstein is like a complete spoof of
Yeah.
the original
Yeah.
Frankenstein movies, and I obviously love those original old horror movies.
Yeah.
Frankenstein, The Bride. I think The Bride is like it's like a top 10 all time movie for me.
Yeah.
I just think it's like fucking perfect.
John and I were talking because he just watched the Bela Lugosi
Yeah,
Dracula,
the
which
30s,
we'll talk about.
Yeah, I thought it was 50s. I didn't realize it was the 30s.
I actually rewatched
Yeah.
that today as well, since John did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I had the day off, so I also watched rewatched the 1922 silent film,
Oh, that's one I didn't get to.
the original. And I know we're gonna are we just getting into this, or are we gonna, or is Reese gonna finish this thing?
Let me buzz through these
Yeah.
real quick.
Chomping at the bit.
For the 70th anniversary. Okay, we watched more movies for New Year's Eve.
They're good ones. Talk about them.
What was the 70th anniversary?
70th anniversary. We watched The Lady Killers.
Hey, I have a question. I've
Yeah.
never seen the original, and I know that the remake with
Tom Hanks.
Tom Hanks was like kind of like panned by critics.
I haven't.
I actually really enjoyed the remake.
Okay, I really liked the remake also.
Yeah, and like I know it got destroyed by everyone, and maybe the original was so good that like
No, I think it's. It came out in a bad
J.K.
time.
Simmons, I remember being fucking awesome in it.
Yeah,
and
Tom Hanks. I remember being really funny.
It's very like dry humor.
Yes,
and it's
very British humor, which
Yeah.
works
Yeah.
because the original one is a British
And-
comedy.
It's the funniest thing I've seen Tom Hanks in since the 80s.
Yeah,
And like he's never played a character like that before.
until Elvis. He plays. Have you seen the newer Elvis movie?
I have not.
He plays a character named the Colonel, and he's got like a very thick Southern drawl.
Okay, so that's very okay. So he's just
Yeah.
basically replaying that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, so I haven't seen the remake in probably like 15 years,
Oh,
but I
I'm due.
recall
I-
really liking
Like
it.
if you guys have a Friday, and
Yeah.
this would be a good one to throw out there.
I remember really liking it when it came
Yeah,
out too. Yeah.
Yeah, and I haven't seen it since it came out, but I remember liking it. And I remember everybody hating it. I remember like if you I bet its letterbox score sucks.
Let's see.
Yeah, you have to look it up. But anyway,
But I wonder if it was bad timing for that kind of comedy because everyone was so fucking cynical in the early 2000s and no one wanted to be goofy or silly. And that movie is kind of like a quirky comedy. And if you watch the original, it makes sense because it's totally lifting from that kind of odd screwball comedy.
it's like
it has a 2.9.
that,
The
like,
remake has a 2.9.
in that era is when fucking Martin Lawrence was doing the like big
Big Mama's House.
Big Mama's House.
Yeah.
Like
and the
like how
what
are
was
they
the Eddie
tolerant
Murphy?
to that,
Yeah.
but they
Or
aren't
something?
tolerant to this, which
Right.
has a lot of similarities to
Yeah.
some stuff like
Yeah.
that. It's just a little bit like smarter, I guess.
I think people were just too used to taking the Coen brothers like too seriously. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, at that point, it's a little bit. I mean, there's plenty of humor, but in their
Yeah.
stuff. But yeah, it's a little bit more dedicated.
Like I guess it is probably the most pure comedy that they've done. Like The Big Lebowski, I definitely
Well,
would
yeah, they
classify
all,
as a comedy,
like,
but
I mean, Old Brother Art, that was very heavily a comedy.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I feel like I'd have to if I had to look at it, but Lady Killers might be their most like it's a comedy.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, because they
that
just
was-
sneak a lot. I mean, most of their films are pretty fucking hilarious a lot of the time.
Yeah.
But they still have so many more overarching tones.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
different things happen.
Like Old Brother Art, that was a pretty like dark movie.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah.
and most of their humor is dark humor. I mean,
Yeah.
most of
I
the time
mean,
you're
well, it's
laughing.
almost-
You're like, why am I
Fargo
laughing at
is
this?
fucking hilarious.
It's almost
but it's
always
so
involving
fucking
criminals.
Dark, you know, like,
Criminals and murder.
yeah.
For its math 50th anniversary, is that right? 1975? Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That maths.
Yes. Death Race 2000 fucking
Oh.
rocks. That movie's
Yeah.
awesome. It was
That's David
so
Carradine, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, he plays.
Dude.
It was a surprise connection because we watched Bride of Frankenstein and then David Carradine. Is it David Carradine?
Is it David Carradine?
What
Carradine. I'm pretty sure it's David Carradine. Kill Bill?
Yeah, David Carradine.
David
Carradine.
He
Yeah.
plays.
There's another Carradine that's not as cool.
His character's name is Frankenstein.
Nice,
So
yeah.
it's very
No,
fitting.
I remember from watching that. I watched it a few years ago. One thing that if it's the same film, I'm pretty sure like the big bad guy has like this room that they basically just string a bunch of fucking light bulbs in. I just remember a scene of this naked broad just like fumbling around these light bulbs that are supposed to be, I don't know what they're supposed to be. Just like fumbling around like, oh my God, I'm dying from contact with these light bulbs. No, it was super fun.
Yeah, it's and then I was coming up with like a conspiracy theory because Sylvester Stallone is in this, and it came out like a year after or a year before or a couple years before Rhinestone.
All right.
And he's really funny in this movie, and the movie's great. I think Sylvester Stallone is like embarrassed by his like pre-Rocky stuff or just non-Rocky stuff.
I mean, he wasn't an Oscar winner back then.
Yeah. Well, because Death Race, it was. I wanted to buy it on Blu-ray in preparation for the night. It's not available on Blu-ray. Right. It's not available to buy on Vudu. I had to watch it with ads on Amazon. And like, why is Sylvester Stallone like making it that we can't watch all of his fun movies?
He's just not cool with him, man. He's Sylvester fucking Stallone.
If it's not Rambo or Rocky, he's like, no, I don't want you to watch it. But like,
we like it, buddy.
It was really fun. And it also made me pissed off because I know that the remake is bad. I haven't watched it.
Yeah.
And I know that they like totally butcher the premise. And it's like, this could be a really fun like TV show, miniseries, movie.
There's so many, dude. There's so many of those, that era of film.
Apple will do
B
it.
level of film. That like
Apple will do it.
Yeah, honestly.
Apple is like killing it with sci-fi series.
There's so many films that are like B films like that from that era that have so much potential if somebody really wanted to fuck with them.
And it's not like an empty-headed movie either. Like it ends with an assassination of a politician. I guess maybe I shouldn't spoil it, but it's a very political movie. It's very much like, you stupid Americans, you need to watch this murder to be happy.
The statute of limitations is run out on the 50-year anniversary.
Yeah.
You can
it ends with David Carradine's character assassinating the president after he already assassinated a Pope-like character. Yeah. So like, it's a pretty political movie. I really enjoyed it. For its 40th anniversary, we watched The Quiet Earth. It's a New Zealand sci-fi movie. Very good. And then for its 30th anniversary, we watched Fallen Angels, a Chinese movie. Really good. And then
I've had that on my list for a while. I want to see that.
It's good. Have you seen In the Mood for Love?
I have not. It's also on the list.
Yeah. That one's awesome. And then After Midnight, for the first movie of 2025, to celebrate its 20th anniversary, we watched The Adventures of Shark Boy and Lava Girl.
Oh, nice.
It was really, really bad. It was bad.
Yeah, it sounds bad.
Yeah.
There's one that I forgot to note here. So before we move on to vampires, I watched Apple TV. By the way, Apple TV, they've been fucking killing it, man. Like they've been putting out really quality shit.
Yeah.
Their original content. So anyway, Cate Blanchett and Kevin Kline did this mini series called Disclaimer, and just a fucking masterpiece on storytelling in general. It's based off of a novel, I guess, and it's just a really cool storytelling device. It took me back to A Bronx Tale. Talk about unreliable narrator. Basically, the whole setup here is that Cate Blanchett gets a thing in the mail addressed to her, and it's a book. And she reads the book and starts freaking out, like psychotically.
And what's this called?
It's called Disclaimer. She starts freaking out.
I wanted to watch this.
She's telling her husband, "This book is about me. This was sent to me. It's addressed to me. This book is about me."
Wow.
And so it was also, she finds out, was sent to her son, and
the same exact book.
The same exact book, and she's like, "You're reading this book?" And he's like, "I read." Clearly, the kid has never read a book before, but he read this one. And he's like, "I read the whole thing already. It was a great book." And she's like, "What did you think of the female character?" He's like, "I thought she was a fucking bitch, and I thought she deserved what she got." And so, this entire series is kind of shot from, the perspective of the book. And so it's an unreliable narrator because it's about a series of events that happened, but the person that wrote the book wasn't actually there for it. It was like a secondhand account. So you're constantly getting conflicting versions of what exactly happened.
Does it have
It's just a fucking masterpiece in storytelling. I bet you this book is a great read.
Does it have like a Stranger Than Fiction vibe to it?
No,
No?
no, it does not. Everything, by the time you get through, I think it's only 6 episodes.
It's a miniseries?
It's a miniseries. By the time you get through all 6 episodes, it's like everything is in complete harmony. It's actually got one of the best fucking endings to anything I've ever seen. Like,
I'm going to have to watch
I
this.
completely relate to
Nice.
all the characters. Kate Blanchett is just a fucking master of her craft, man.
I feel like we've
And
talked
you know
about
what?
it, but I think there's an argument that she's just the best living actress right now.
Oh yeah, you could definitely make the case. Kevin Kline, haven't seen him in a minute.
That's her husband,
No,
or just another character?
no. So basically, Kevin Kline's character, he published the book as his own, but his wife actually wrote the book. He didn't discover it until after she died. She wrote it in secret, and he published it as his own, and started this little kind of revenge plot.
Yeah.
And
Is the actor from Dexter in it, or am I thinking of something else?
he is not.
No. Is there another big male actor in it?
Not really. No.
Oh, okay.
No.
I gotta watch this.
Yeah, it's just a fucking.
I think
I
there's
can't recommend it enough. Just the storytelling is just beautifully done, and it totally took me back to that second episode we did with Bronx Tale, and I'm just like, yeah, man, unreliable narrator. Like the whole time I'm thinking, like, do I even believe this? Can I believe it? Can I trust it? Like,
Right.
and it's the payoff is so fucking good.
Nice.
So highly recommend.
Oh shit! I was trying. There's another Apple. I think it's also a miniseries that just came out last year. Apple just keeps putting out this shit that looks so interesting.
Dude, their stuff's good.
It's hard to
Yeah.
keep up
so
with.
good.
It's hard to keep up with everything now.
My wife's
Honestly,
favorite
there's
series
so
is
many.
Shrinking. It's
I've heard that's really good.
It's Harrison Ford playing a what's the fucking condition where you shake
Parkinson's.
So Harrison Ford plays it's about basically a whole office full of shrinks, and he's kind of the one that owns the building and owns
Right.
the practice, and it's the guy from Forgetting Sarah Marshall and the super tall guy.
Oh yeah, Jason.
Yeah, Jason something.
Yeah.
But anyway, he's the main character, but it's about a bunch of psychiatrists and it is Harrison Ford has never been funnier. Harrison Ford is fucking hilarious.
Nice.
And he
Wow.
says fuck a lot. He is he's the grumpy old man who cusses a lot. It's so good.
I think there's also maybe it's not a miniseries. That's why I couldn't find it. But Kristen Dunst, I think, is in a new show on Apple TV that also is kind of has a sci-fi element to it. It's
Yeah.
just
Yeah, they're good
can't
at
keep
that.
up with this shit, man.
Yeah, they do good stuff.
Last two things I'll mention. One, I watched a drama from 1979 called Chilly Scenes of Winter. I think you'd really like this if you haven't seen it already.
I have not.
The lead is John Hurd. It's kind of like 500 Days of Summer before 500 Days of Summer,
Yeah, nice.
except John
What was it
Hurd.
called? Chili Scenes?
Chilly Scenes of Winter. Except John Hurd is a complete, irredeemable piece of shit.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
He
You
just
like
gets.
movies where people are irredeemable pieces of shit. You have a thing for that.
It's interesting characters. I like nobody wants to watch the same he's a good guy. He wants to do good in the
I
world.
wasn't chastising you for it. I also like movies where
Yeah.
people are
Yeah.
pieces of shit. but-
It's even more interesting than normal. Similar to American Psycho. This
Right.
is directed by a woman, and I think it's really interesting to see women write realistic kind of dramas about
Yeah.
shitty guys, especially
Right.
when it's. Honestly, I feel like American Psycho is less judgmental of the main character than this movie is of the main character, but
Right.
it's a really great story. I really liked it.
I saw, actually, speaking of American Psycho, I saw there's going to be another
That
film.
I have heard that too, but apparently it's not as confirmed as people are saying. So
Okay. Yeah, all I've seen is just random bullshit on social media.
I did
Yeah.
kind of hear something about that.
Yeah.
as well.
because I heard Austin Butler, who played Elvis, and he was in the Bike Riders,
Yeah.
is
Yeah,
gonna be
he-
the lead.
I don't know if I've the whole time that I watched the Bike Riders, I was I feel like I've seen him in something, but I can't put my finger on it, and I hadn't seen the Elvis movie. Maybe he's just got one of those faces. But I'll tell you what, in
No,
the Bike Riders,
he's in the Dead Don't Die.
okay, maybe that's it.
Oh, who does he play in The Dead Don't Die?
He's like one of the kids who goes to the gas station or something. He's
Okay.
like not a main character, but when I
Okay.
watched The Dead Don't Die, it was like 3 months before Elvis, and I was like, "Is that the new guy who's gonna play Elvis?" Because he looks like Elvis.
Yeah, no, yeah, that. Kid,
And then he's also
yeah.
in Dune 2. He's the ball. Well, they're all
Okay.
bald, I guess.
The thing that about the
We
Bike
got H.
Riders,
Small saying shrinking is pretty great.
yeah, it is pretty
Thanks
fun.
for listening in.
It's very
Thanks.
fun. Fucking what were we
Bike
talking?
Riders.
Bike
Austin
Riders.
Butler.
Yeah. So this dude, it's funny because Tom Hardy is in the film and is
Yeah.
one of the main characters, but this dude is like actually the main character.
Yeah.
And like I'd never really seen him in anything, and he's like carrying this movie, and it kind of reminds me of you ever see Drive?
Oh yeah, of course.
Like the lead performance in Drive,
Yeah.
very much I get from the Bike Riders, whereas like he leads the entire movie and says like 10 words.
Yeah.
You know, like he
Yeah.
says almost nothing and commands screen presence throughout, you know,
Yeah.
like, yeah, I really dig those types of performances.
Yeah.
And like, he is like a fucking badass. I mean, so Tom Hardy plays the dude that creates this like fucking motorcycle club gang, whatever. And this is like the dude that even Tom Hardy's kind of afraid of,
Right.
you know?
Yeah. Yeah, so I have heard that there is going to be a new American Psycho, which I'm not necessarily in favor of, and I have heard that actor Austin Butler is cast as the lead. But then I saw a thing today of
He could do it. I
the
believe
author of the book, can't remember his name at the moment, saying that Harlan Ellison, is that right?
Maybe.
Saying
We'll
that
say
like
let's just like write it off as fact. Like we'll just say it. We don't
What?
have to be right. We'll just say
oh
it.
the I'm pretty sure it's Harlan Ellison.
Written by Scarlett Johansson.
It is written by Scarlett Johansson. Pseudonym Harlan Ellison. But he apparently said on the internet that like there is a movie in the works, but there is not a script written. There is no casting done
Okay.
yet. So apparently the
Okay.
Austin Butler thing is fake, and it could be
Yeah.
like probably a ways off.
I feel like, I don't know. I mean, I haven't. That's one book that I've wanted to read for a long time. I mean, since I watched the film, and I just never got around to it. But man, I feel like that's just a leave it alone film.
Well,
like,
it's
that film was really.
it's literally
good.
just because it's going to make money, because there's
Yeah.
no reason to remake it.
No,
if you watch the
not.
original, it's only gotten more like
Yes.
relevant.
Yeah,
It's insane.
no, it's a pretty impeccable film. It's one of my favorites for sure.
Yeah.
It's a film that my
Oh, I was wrong.
son has been wanting to watch with me for forever. Like the last 2 years, KO has been like, "Yeah, I want to watch it with you, Dad." Like, "Yeah, you're not there yet.
Yeah, no.
You're not there yet, buddy."
Brett Easton Ellis is the author,
Okay.
not Harlan Ellison.
So were you ready to talk some vampires?
The only thing I was gonna talk about that later because it's still in theaters.
Okay.
Yes, we can
Alright,
talk about
boom.
vampires.
Yeah. So we all went to see the Robert
did.
Eggers.
We did.
Separately, you guys didn't end up seeing it together, did you?
Oh, we kind of
We
did.
Yeah,
yeah.
actually, yeah. Incidentally.
I went with the wife, and he went with the wife and the son, and they just happened to sit right next to us. So
Yeah.
we
That's
watched
fun.
it together.
Yeah.
John, I could tell, was a little intoxicated coming into it.
The
And-
first
and
20
it's
minutes is a
Christmas,
little
man.
And it's weird because I like to drink as well. And normally when I drink with John. And I hadn't been drinking that day, but I could tell that John hadn't, which is weird because if I was drinking with John, I don't think I would have been able to tell that John had been drinking.
Yeah, probably. It's how it goes.
But that's besides the point. So Robert Eggers doing Nosferatu. What say you?
I think that it is, and I mean, I've been talking to people incessantly about this, you guys included, and I went on a whole thing where I watched every fucking Dracula, other than the 22 Nosferatu.
yeah. So-
That's the only one I missed.
So I should point that out. After watching this, it did spark a little bit of a thing, which I love the old horror movies and
Oh, yeah.
and the remakes of them going all the way back. And I've seen every version now. After seeing the 1979 Nosferatu remake, starring Klaus Kinski,
Klaus Kinski, directed by
which we all
Werner
watched together
Herzog.
on
Yeah,
John's
we did
projection
watch that.
screen.
Yeah,
It was fun.
And so I've seen every iteration now of that original story, the Bram Stoker's Dracula. Just so, in case you're not aware, listener, Nosferatu, Dracula, it's the same story. It's just the original movie was Nosferatu. They did not. It was in 1922. They did not have rights to Bram Stoker's work, and so they had to change the name, and they had to change the name of the vampire. So, Count Orlok is what it goes by.
And they changed
the
the setting too from like England to Germany.
Yeah, but the story is like identical.
Yeah,
it's just they changed all of the names.
Exactly the same. A lot of the dialogue ends up being the same.
Yeah.
And,
No, actually, the most repeated. I told Reese earlier we were talking about it. The most repeated line from all the films is him talking about the song of the creatures of the night.
Yes, listen, my children.
The creatures of the night is a line that's in every fucking iteration.
Except, is it in the? I didn't think it was in the Eggers.
Yeah, it is.
It is. Yeah, 100% is.
That is the line.
I don't know if it's been the one that it's been the longest now since I've seen is Bram Stoker's, and it's only been a year or two.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't remember.
Oh, it is.
It is in there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I just watched.
I haven't read the book. I'll be honest. I haven't read the book, and so I would imagine it's in the book since it's in every fucking iteration.
Yeah, that's the one thing that I really wanted to try to read the book, because it's not a super long book. I think it's like 300-400 pages. Before this episode, of course, I don't have fucking time for that. And I haven't read the book. I have read the book, but it's been since fucking 8th grade since I've read the book. So it's been.
Which is more than a few years ago.
Yeah.
Is it true that the book is written like all in like letters and diary entries?
At least a good fucking chunk of it.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's I've been really curious about that.
Yeah.
Because I know a lot of it is. I have been curious since this has sparked whether or not all of it is.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's a interesting way to present this story if it's all in journal entries. Yeah. And now I'm probably going to try to read it as soon as I can.
That's like a big thing in like H.P. Lovecraft stuff, right? It's like a person going and investigating this creature called Cthulhu, you know?
Yeah. Now it's been super fun to watch all of them together to see where they cross over, what homages each one makes, what's the origin of this in that. And that's what makes me really want to read the fucking book, is because there are things that are present in 2 of the 4 or 5 films, but not the other 2 of the 4, so I want to know, I really want to dial in exactly what's what.
I actually think because having all of them fresh in my mind, except for Bram Stoker's, but I've seen Bram Stoker's a lot.
Yeah.
I think it's the one that actually diverts from the path the most.
Bram Stoker's?
I think so.
It's the longest. So. They've got to fill the most.
Just kind of like the ending, like how they kill Dracula at the end is different than the others. It's not like.
Yeah, that's fair. I think that so.
By the way, we had a fun conversation, and it was decided by myself and John Brown that what's his name?
Willem Dafoe.
Yeah, Willem Dafoe has played the best Van Helsing and the best Nosferatu in Shadow of the Vampire. Yeah. And we also have determined that Keanu Reeves has played the worst John Harker and the worst Van Helsing.
Yes.
So
wait, which one is he Van Helsing in?
Van Helsing.
No, that's not him.
Hugh Jackman.
That's Hugh Jackman.
Oh.
And it's not good.
Oh, it was so bad that I just assumed that it was Keanu Reeves.
It could have been. It's actually beneath Hugh Jackman. It's pretty. Like I like Hugh Jackman more, and I think he's better than that.
Hugh Jackman was in Van Helsing. God,
yeah.
No, I think I actually watched that movie. I clearly I think it's one of those.
It's pure popcorn.
I actually don't think
bullshit.
I finished it. I think it was so bad.
No, it's just popcorn bullshit.
It's
good
bad.
God,
I don't even remember.
It was so bad. I thought it was Keanu Reeves.
Who plays Dracula? Because Dracula is in it. It's such a stupid take on the story.
I think I was confusing Van Helsing with Constantine.
Okay.
Because they're both the same level of bad.
They're kind of.
I think he hunts demons.
That's an easy confusion there.
Yeah.
Van Helsing is Kate Beckinsale as Anna Valeris. I don't know who that is. Count Dracula is played by Richard Roxburgh.
That
Kinda
guy.
generic
Yeah.
English actor.
Generic
believe it.
English guy, yeah.
Yeah, that I haven't seen that movie in ages, but it is bad.
No,
So let's get back on
the Eggers Nosferatu.
the
Go
Eggers
from there.
Nosferatu. I really, I think obviously as far as mood and art directing,
Production design.
it is everything about it, like aesthetically,
Yeah.
is
And technically.
Yeah, I think-
outside of the mustache, which I can
Well,
take or leave.
The mustache is technically accurate.
It's
which
grown
I
on me.
agree.
It
It is
just
accurate, but
shook me.
That's not to say it's not distracting.
Well, so
See, this is why I'm not worried to spoil the mustache.
Yeah.
I would have liked to known beforehand
Yeah,
that he has
right.
a mustache.
Yeah.
It would have changed my viewing, and that's why my second viewing was so much more positive.
yeah.
But yes, it might make sense, honestly.
No, I mean, so like, look up Vlad Tepes,
Yeah,
and he has that mustache.
Yeah.
Like the painting
Yeah.
from fucking the goddamn 14th
Well,
century.
apparently
Vlad
even-
Tepes has that mustache.
even the
so.
original book apparently says he has a
Oh, yeah.
mustache. So it's like it's
And
the only accurate version.
honestly, fucking going back to the '92,
Oh yeah, he's got
Gary
he's got
Oldman has a
he's got
pretty
like a little
rockin' mustache
goatee,
too,
doesn't he?
You know,
Yeah,
like just
he's
not
got all kinds of looks
just
in that.
not
Yeah.
in
Which
vampire
I-
form.
Yeah.
And
I
that's-
appreciate that one. I
Yeah.
appreciate a lot about Bram Stoker's Dracula. It doesn't age particularly well.
I don't agree with that. Other
I
than
just think
one
it doesn't
thing.
in some way. I remember one scene. It's the scene where where Harker is going to the castle, and there's like a
Yes.
like a moonlit like
Well,
background.
I was talking
and
about this scene.
the special effects, like because
Yeah.
like the worst thing about that scene, because I just watched this shit. The worst thing about that scene is like they did like a ghost fire thing,
yeah.
and like it did not look good, and it makes more sense with what Reese is about to say.
Yeah,
But the rest of the practical effects, the makeup, the costumes, like when he is a wolfman, when he is a fucking giant bat, like all those things, I think hold up really, really well. It's just, it's like the fog and smog, but
yeah.
I don't want to kick the shit out of the movie either, because I actually
Yeah.
really love Bram
Right.
Stoker's Dracula.
He that director,
Coppola.
Coppola, Francis Ford Coppola,
Yes, Coppola.
was going for only special effects that they could have pulled off in the original Dracula.
Okay.
So that
Contextually, that
scene
makes
is all
so much
done
more
in
sense.
camera.
Knowing that does make me appreciate
Yeah.
that a
Yeah.
little bit more.
Yeah.
I just remember it's been years since I rewatched it. And I remember looking at that scene and being like, man, that looks
no
fucking
those
awful.
Yeah.
the visual special effects that aren't practical do not hold up, and I
Yeah.
100% acknowledge that, agree with that. But I think the rest of the movie holds up so well.
Oh
Although
no, and I will say that the actress is always the like hot pale chick, you know? Like,
Right.
well, I don't know if she's supposed to be hot, but I find
Right.
pale chicks hot. So
right?
I find them hot, and I do think that
Winona Ryder.
Winona Ryder was like the perfect person
Yeah.
to play that role at that time.
We were just talking about this. That movie, the thing that movie fucking suffers from.
It's Keanu
God
Reeves.
damn, Keanu Reeves.
He's the worst John Harker.
Ugh.
And apparently he
he's so
wasn't in Van
bad.
Helsing. That was some other guy
No.
that's kind of sucks.
But I do.
But,
After all the
I just-
rewatches, I do agree with you that it is the one that strays from the ending the most.
yes.
But it holds truer to since I haven't read the
But-
book
but
since
I
I was
don't-
in middle school, I
I
don't fucking
don't-
know.
Yeah.
I don't say that as a knock. I
yeah,
mean, like,
no, I know.
they did something a little different.
Yeah,
And I mean, it is yet to, and I'll say it, Robert Eggers, which is the one we're supposed to be talking about,
yeah,
also did something a little different.
Yes.
Whereas I think Robert Eggers is of all of them is the one that's truly a horror film.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Which, Dracula was a horror film for its day, but it doesn't really, none of the horror films of the
No.
30s and 40s
Hell no.
match up as horror films today.
Honestly-
They're more like
And
love
I would
stories.
imagine that comparing the 22 to 30 Bela Lugosi, I think Nosferatu's gotta be.
honestly,
the
I
horror
I
film.
think the
of
original
it, too.
Nosferatu has aged better as a
Yeah.
scary.
No, it has.
movie.
Yeah.
And as somebody that watched it today,
Yeah.
it is. Well, so here's my problem. Bela Lugosi has always been my least favorite of the Dracula, just because they make Dracula too clean.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
Bela Lugosi is like he's just a fucking rich miser, you know?
Yeah,
like,
no,
like,
for sure.
There's nothing
For
to
sure.
differentiate him.
Yeah.
No,
from
he
fucking
doesn't do like we were just talking about.
Elon
He doesn't
Musk or whoever,
use
you
any
know?
powers. He doesn't really do much at all.
Yeah.
And like he gets,
Just kinda
I told
leers.
Reese too. Like he's got the like Lugosi eyes for so many scenes, but there are a couple of scenes where he just looks like he's taking a shit.
Yeah.
There are a couple that I was just like, oh man, it's like he's just working out the worst fucking turd right now.
The blood I drank last night is not agreeing with me.
Which I will give it to that version. That is the one where of the ones with that were talkies. It is the one where they stay true. I feel like everybody tries to do a Germanish accent.
Yeah.
Like a Transylvanian accent, I guess.
Actually, that's the thing. I think the one that's the most German accent, and actually, I really want to watch Eggers again, in consideration of this. But Van Helsing is always the German, right?
Yeah.
Van Helsing's the German character.
Yeah.
Every
Because his
time,
name is Van
no matter
Helsing.
no matter what iteration. And so Van Helsing in the Lugosi was very German. Everybody else was still pretty English because they should have been because it was in England.
Yeah.
And I don't remember.
Defoe doesn't do a German accent,
He
but
uses some German words.
I think so. But it also makes sense because in this version, like all of the characters are German and they're all speaking with British accents, so it would maybe be a little distracting if only Willem Dafoe had a German accent.
No. So that's the thing. Like going back to the mustache thing. Like after you like shared those articles from Eggers, like this is for historical.
Spoiler alert! Nosferatu has a mustache.
Yeah.
Robert
But like
Eggers.
historical
distracting.
accuracy about this mustache, but it's like I know all of these motherfuckers could speak with a German accent.
Yeah,
I know all of them can. I know they all can.
That was an artistic choice.
Yeah, I that is the thing. You do literally just have to be like, no matter even as hard as he is fighting for historical accuracy, they are all speaking English with English accents.
That's one thing
but,
I'll say
like,
for this whole like thing that it's become that's super fun and interesting is what each filmmaker chooses to the choices they make, you know, like he chose to maintain that but not this, and there's like parts of his story were maintaining, you know, this element of the Nosferatu side of the Dracula story but not this, and then you go back through to the 70s.
The 79 one was very interesting because it is it's taking the title and the designs and the setting of Nosferatu, but then
they had the rights, so they used Dracula.
They have all of the Dracula names and names.
But then they still in that one do a complete. Actually, that ending was
completely
that was the
different.
weirdest ending. That one went just as far away as the fucking Bram Stoker's in 92.
But it was still like it was still the same ending. It was still like,
if anything, it
drink
like,
me until the sun comes up.
No, I know,
like,
but what I'm talking about for that ending was
like the
John Harker
changes bodies.
Yeah,
basically.
John Harker is now the new Dracula. Ha ha ha! I'm gonna like that whole.
Okay, yeah, that was a little weird.
That was, but no.
The only reason it works to me is that like it's like each of these versions of the characters have their own thing that you go like, oh, this is why this character is powerful. This is why this character survived. And it's like, oh, okay, because you just can't kill him. He just keeps hopping bodies. Because like up until now, he's not been very intimidating.
Yeah.
I appreciated 1979's version for the character of the creature.
Yeah, no, the Nosferatu I enjoyed a lot.
And I think that he encapsulated a lot of the vibe you got from the 1922 version in like a talkie role, which is kind of what you want.
No, they did a really good job.
That's really why I hate the Bela Lugosi take, is because it's so fucking clean. Like, it shouldn't be clean.
No, it's too clean, and I don't like the pacing of that one either. Like, because it starts with like
it's very Hollywoodized.
Isn't it short? Like, isn't it only like 90 minutes or something?
It's pretty short.
Yeah, it's pretty short. Yeah, you can go through, but it's just very like, I don't know, like it's not a bad movie. Like it actually is a good movie. It's just it's kind of the worst of them. Like if I compare that,
I would say
if I can compare that to the 22 version, to the 79
it's only
version,
74 minutes,
to the new Robert Eggers version, it just
Yeah.
It just
Yeah.
pales in
No,
comparison
I
to those
absolutely,
films.
I
I
would
definitely
absolutely
agree.
agree that it is the worst of the storytelling. And
Yeah.
then, like, the pacing is weird too. I was taken aback because, like, the opening scene, you're going to the castle, and it's not John Harker going to the castle; it's Renfield going to the castle, which I
Yeah.
kind of appreciated. It's like, okay, now
Yeah,
we get to see
it's
Renfield's
different.
side of it,
Yeah.
but then it's like immediately right to it. Now they're in England.
Like I said, it's 74 minutes long, so
Yeah.
they do a good job of like picking things to keep. You know, it's
Yeah,
like, well, we
yeah.
can turn these two characters into one character,
Yeah.
and then
No, that's pretty much what they do, and
Yeah.
and that's the Hollywood side of it,
Uh,
like streamlined efficiency there.
yeah,
And also, spoiler alert, it's a future pick for me. I've been trying to work it in forever, but one thing that I will pick in the future is Ed Wood.
yeah,
And Ed Wood loved Bela Lugosi, and he put him in like all of his movies. They were like besties, and in Ed Wood, you find out that Bela Lugosi's like fucking antithesis was Boris Karloff, who is kind of like my hero, and so I always kind of had a kind of unfair hatred towards them just because I'm on the other side of
Yeah.
that particular rivalry.
can only pick one.
Yeah, it's like a rap battle, but like, you know, from the 30s.
Yeah. Well, I can't talk about that yet because I know John will think it's interesting.
Yeah, he does this to us.
The 79 one, I think really. So I don't think it was a bad movie at all, but I don't think most of the story succeeded to me. But I do really like how they portrayed the plague. And I do think the creature Nosferatu is interesting.
Yeah,
The
no,
character
it-
Nosferatu didn't make as much sense to me.
Yeah.
I loved. I don't know about the character. I don't know if I would shit on the character because I thought it was actually a really good performance.
No, the performance was great.
He was the standout.
I didn't feel him
the lighting.
intimidating or
Yeah.
like logical that he could be getting away with this, you know.
Yeah.
But
There were a couple of scenes that were fucking creepy as hell.
Yeah.
But they did the lighting. I have a problem with it. Like they have the big spotlight. A lot of these scenes are brighter than they should.
Well,
be.
it goes. That movie went back to the fucking Johnny Depp movie we just watched. The musical.
yeah, Sweeney Todd.
Yeah, Sweeney Todd. Like, not only was the lighting, like literally the lighting, a little too bright, but like the music was so cheery,
Yeah.
so often, and like there's these scenes that were like kind of bright scenes that took way longer than you think they would.
Yeah.
Like the scene on the beach with John Harker and Mina before he leaves. Like,
Well, it was like I don't know. It's just directorial choices, so you can't really judge them. But like, there was the scene. There's like a really extended intro with the flying bat,
Yeah.
and then she wakes up from the nightmare, and it's all creepy. And then it's a 2-minute shot of cats playing
kittens.
around.
Yes,
Literally
yeah.
kittens playing
No,
with like the
for
most
sure.
cheerful music. It's
Yeah.
like you built all that tension,
Yeah.
and then immediately it's like credit scene.
Yeah.
Like,
No, they made most of the movie super, super bright, and then they had some really good dark scenes. And I think a lot of the dark scenes too were like direct homages and celebrations of scenes from the 22. That's why I wanted to watch it.
basically, I think everything at the castle, I think, was taken like
Yeah.
scene for something from the original.
No, I really enjoyed the 79 one in regard, like in just context to watching all of them to like kind of put everything in its place. Cause like the plague thing, which I really dug the plague element in Eggers' newest Nosferatu, and I hadn't seen that in Dracula prior, and so they got
the
that.
79. They
got that
used a lot
from
of
there.
fucking rats. In
And
that
so
movie.
I thought
ton of
too,
rats.
in the still impressive how they could get those rats to behave
Yeah.
because those rats. just
What
hung
I
out.
was thinking is like, there's no way they didn't make it through this movie without some of these rats getting stepped
They
on.
must have just had buckets of like bacon grease and just like slathered them on the fucking road. Like,
Yeah.
The thing I like about the 79 version, I think that was the first like real homage to the original
yes.
22.
Oh,
where,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Which would made it even more interesting that they kept the original Dracula names, because it's like some of these scenes don't even work as well in the the color and sound version because like it's just not really how we make movies anymore.
Yeah.
But you can tell it's like the scene where he's walking into the bedroom and then just slowly approaching.
That's the best scene.
Yeah,
of,
no,
like,
it is.
any
It is.
Nosferatu movie ever.
And it's like
I
beat
will
for
say,
beat from the
scene,
22 version.
That scene where Orlok is walking in, and that is the one scene where they got the lighting right, and his face is really brightening the entire fucking canvas.
Yeah.
That scene to me is my favorite, and that's why I'm giving 79 huge props, is because that scene to me is the most iconic Nosferatu. Like, it's scary.
Yeah. Now, I from watching all of them, I can appreciate a lot from each one to some degree.
Agreed.
Still putting the Bela Lugosi on the bottom.
I would agree that I would put the Bela Lugosi on the bottom. Although, like, I did a rewatch today of a silent film. It's like the third time I've seen the original Nosferatu, and like rewatching a silent film
it's
is
rough.
like watching a couple flies fucking.
It's rough.
Well, see, this is why I recommend what I did when I watched Nosferatu. I did the remix, and I made a playlist. This is my Nosferatu.
So that's the thing that I even thought about the 79 is just like, or maybe not the 79, but definitely the 30s, the Bela Lugosi is like, how is there just no music in some of these films? Like, fuck, just play something.
Yeah,
like, God
especially
damn.
that early
like how,
in talkies, you'd think they'd be like over the top on music.
Yeah, but they're not. There's just like no.
They
music.
went the other way because like they went from like only having music to it's like aha now you got voices.
Now you're gonna listen to these motherfuckers.
It took them a while to realize like you need to like make the combination of the two.
No,
they were too excited to do the Foley, so it'd be like, and now I will walk up the stairs.
Yeah, gonna get a quartery in here.
She goes on for 2 minutes.
So one thing after watching the Eggers Nosferatu that I kind of dig about there being Nosferatu and Dracula, while they're the same thing, what I feel like has happened, and I think it happened immediately, is that they're representing two sides of the same coin. Like, to me, it feels like Nosferatu is the monster movie version of the story. And then Dracula is the story version.
Or even the romance version.
Yeah, the romance,
I guess.
You know, like...
it's all the same story.
It's all the same story, but it's like the presentation is so clear, especially like when you look
really, it's just the fucking Bela Lugosi Dracula that doesn't really like land on a creature aspect. It's just because of the aesthetic. It's the only one where he looks like a normal person.
Well, they didn't have the means to do anything. The bat, fucking Christ, the bat was hilarious.
Oh my God.
There's literally a guy with a fucking bat on a string with a stick.
And it looks like they're supposed to be like on a patio, but they're clearly in like a room the size of a closet. It's like,
No, it's just like
it sucks because I feel like visually the 22 film is far superior to the Bela Lugosi version. I mean.
Oh yeah, from the, I could imagine. I haven't seen it,
and I want the Dracula / Orlok character, which I always prefer Orlok over Dracula, just because, like historically, Orlok has been the guy that looks like he should have been dead 200 years ago.
Yeah,
whereas like Dracula, I think of like fucking Gary Oldman and like walking with a top hat.
Well, so that's the thing, though. Cane, that's what I really enjoy about.
Like a fucking
the Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Oh, they get all of it.
They get all of it. When you go to the castle, it is this just like fucking decrepit dude that should be dead. Which he looks out the window and you see him fucking crawling off the side of the wall, which was awesome. But no, I do
love Bram Stoker's Dracula.
You need to have a lot. You need to have everything. But just like in comparing what I think are the two best so far in film, which would be the Coppola Eggers. They feel like very different things, and it's just what they pay their time and attention to. You know, Eggers focuses on the horror, the atmosphere, the gravity, and then Coppola focused more on the story at hand and capturing all of it. And I'm happy that there is. I think it's cool that this one idea birthed two different things. Pure horror and kind of romantic horror. You know, like I really dig that myself.
The Eggers one is like what we should come up with some kind of word for it or whatever. We talk about the movie where you watch an actor and you're like, oh, I get it. Like, no, oh, this is what you've all been talking about. Like, I understand why everyone loves this person. Eggers' Nosferatu is the version where I go like, I get it. I get why the character is scary. You know, it's haunting. He's like kept himself alive, but not by any like pretty or nice way, but like literally just like fucking dragging himself out of the grave.
Yeah, he created much more the monster element.
Yeah,
and he nailed it.
It was the most monster movie of all of them.
Yes, for sure.
And I love how they really harp on the fact that that she actually is the one that is the source of all this. Like she
woke him up,
like,
basically.
Like not really knowingly, but she like through animal instinct called out to him.
Yeah.
And so she is actually the one that created this mess. And of course, so she should be the one to get everybody out of it.
Right.
Yeah.
And I do like the way they do that. My only negative with the Robert Eggers is the actual monster. While it is the most monstrous, we don't really get to know the monster. You know, it's more monster than anything. It's not a character.
Yeah, that's my issue too.
Well, but
that's okay because we already have this other take on it, and that's why I like the fact that it's Dracula and Nosferatu. I like that there's Dracula and Orlok. Like Orlok can be the monster, Dracula can be the character. You know,
that honestly, that was another thing I liked again, especially on rewatch with the Eggers Orlok, was that he feels so almost like unimaginably powerful. Like the whole sequence of Nicholas Hoult.
Thomas in this movie.
Yeah, Nicholas Hoult coming to the castle. It feels like a dream sequence. Like he can't tell how, like, especially if the scenes where he like Nosferatu, Orlok's on one side of his shoulder and he hands him something, and then he like looks over and Orlok's across the room. Yeah. You can't tell, like he's losing time. He's just so close to this like being of evil that like he's just like fallen under his spell. Yeah.
I kind of feel like the most successful Dracula movie to date is Bram Stoker's Dracula as far as everything, but I think that Eggers' version is the most successful horror film.
Yeah.
And he actually made a film with I already know the story. I know how it's going to go, I know every avenue.
No,
but he still made it terrifying.
Yeah,
it's a terrifying film.
And I still think it is technically is just as far as filmmaking in general the best film.
I don't think there's any question about that.
It's the Dracula series
really.
For sure. But yeah, no, it's awesome that we have that. It's because, and again, it's an entity that's been around. It's a story that's been around. Everyone knows it. So I think it's really cool when an artist can like, okay, I know what fat I can trim for my specific vision of this thing. You know, because everybody knows it. Everyone knows what this is. You know. Yeah.
Speaking of everybody knows what it is. Getting off the vampire train.
Wait, one more thing about the vampire thing. I'd heard, I felt like John would especially appreciate this, but I'd heard Rhett Eggers say that he, obviously watched like every version of Dracula he could find, and he said that he even did watch Mel Brooks's Dracula Dead and Loving It, and what he did was everything that they pointed out as stupid or goofy, he wrote it down, and then he found a way to like get rid of that plot hole.
Nice. Yeah.
And the most standout one was he said, and I think we all witnessed it in the 1979 Nosferatu, when he goes to the tavern and everyone's like, "Don't go to the castle." He's like, "I'm going to the castle," and it's like, well, how do you explain? That's such a stupid choice.
Right.
And so in the Eggers version, they're speaking Turkish. He doesn't know what they're saying, so he doesn't know that they're telling him to not go to the castle.
No, they do the same thing in the Bela Lugosi version, but they're speaking English. So he's like, "No, I'm going anyway." No, that's great. That's fantastic.
Yeah, I thought that was brilliant. I think, he's just such an incredible filmmaker.
So of this group, I'm the one that's like most into the old horror film. Like I like Frankenstein, Bride of Frankenstein, fucking I love the original Draculas, fucking all that old shit. I love the Mummy. But anyway, when
Of those ones, I think-
did you see this movie in Warsaw, or did you go to Fort Wayne to see it?
I saw it in Fort Wayne and then Warsaw.
Okay, so we all saw it in Warsaw, so I know that we've all seen the trailer for the Wolfman.
Ugh, it looks bad.
And it's like I looked at John and I'm like, I want this to be good, but I know.
It's
I know.
probably not going to be.
Like
The-
they've
the
tried
girl's
so many
voice
times, and I don't
in
know
that
why it's so
trailer.
hard. I think that Waxwork is the best Wolfman.
Yeah.
I still,
I want to rewatch the.
I had mentioned to you, I don't know if I think I may have mentioned, I talked about it on the podcast before, but I had seen one from the 80s a year or two ago called, I think, The Company of Wolves, In the Company of Wolves.
I haven't seen that one.
That one is one of the better of the Wolfman
I kind of wanted to rewatch the one from like 2008 or 9.
with.
Is that the one with like Anthony Hopkins
Yeah,
fucking
Not Javier Bardem.
no the Mexican
Del Toro.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Benicio del Toro.
Yeah, that one was bad, and it's like
Okay.
they went all out on the cast, and it was awful,
Yeah.
Yeah.
just awful. And
Now,
so
I would love to for someday to see something good come out of Wolfman lore.
I will see that
Yeah.
the trailer looked promising.
Did it? I thought it looked bad.
I mean, it did have some horror tropes, like the car wouldn't start and all that. But like,
Yeah.
I don't know, like it just seemed like an actual horror movie. as
Yeah, that's
opposed to-
true.
Is like because they tend to go way too into the like the drama effect of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
It's just like they kind of like in the cabin, dude gets bit by a fucking wolf and then turns into one and terrorizes his family. Like it's almost like they combined Evil Dead with like the
Yeah.
Wolfman,
Right.
and like I kind of like the way that they're trying to take it, even if it does end up being a little campy or whatever.
You're right.
And it's got the chick from that Netflix series with Jason Bateman with the fucking curly blonde hair.
Oh yeah, yeah. I like the cast.
No, she's
That-
she's really good.
The lead
So-
guy is he's Bella's old husband in Poor Things. He's a great actor.
Yeah,
I like the cast.
Yeah, just a
I don't
decent cast. I don't know, but like I said, they did it with fucking Anthony Hopkins and
It's also coming
Benicio
out
del Toro.
in
And it was
January.
trash. So
Yeah.
they've tried to add cast to it. It's not a
Yeah.
bad story. It's just never been well done.
Yeah, they focus on the wrong elements every time.
Speaking of bad taglines, well, not speaking of, but
Yeah.
we always
yeah.
talk about
Speaking of
how
things that are
terrible
bad, here's a bad
taglines in the trailer, like the flashing word text, which is almost always shitty. You should just ignore it because it's something
Right.
stupid. It says, "What if the thing you loved, the person you loved most, became something else?" Like that's your
It's really
tagline here.
vague.
I mean, that's just how divorces happen.
Yeah, that's not exactly terrifying. That's just day-to-day shit, guys. All right.
Maybe that's it.
Happens
Maybe
all the
The whole
time.
movie will be a metaphor for divorce.
Probably.
If that's true, it'll be the best Wolfman.
If you guys need some more Draculas in your life, have you seen the 1974 Dracula starring Jack Palance as Dracula?
No.
I haven't, but that's interesting.
I'll
you
watch.
should look that
I'll
one
watch
up.
every one.
Dude, I fucking.
How
I'm a
about
sucker for Jack Palance. Jack Palance is fucking killer.
Yeah, you have to look that one up. How about 1958 with Christopher Lee as Dracula and Peter Cushing as Dr. Van Helsing?
Yeah, I haven't seen that one.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll watch that one too.
It's been a while. I haven't seen the Jack Palance one though.
And of course, you can name off endless remakes,
Yeah.
of course, but of the major ones.
Yeah.
And then also from 1979, so this came out the same year as Nosferatu the Vampire, Dracula with Frank Langella as Dracula. Apparently,
that one.
it says the description says a romanticized adaptation. So apparently, this is the one. Oh my
This is
god,
the romanticized.
Oh, yeah, that looks terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks pretty bad.
I'll watch them all. I'll do the due
Watch them all.
diligence.
All right.
God damn it.
So many Draculas.
And you guys should totally both watch the Netflix Dracula.
I do. I've
Yeah,
been.
I will
need to
definitely watch that.
It's really
That's a no-brainer for me.
I think it's
Can I
so
watch it
hard
with
to
the
commit.
wife?
to a TV show, but miniseries.
Well, it's actually it's 3 films.
I'll love a
basically.
Is it
miniseries.
like, can I watch it with a wife, or is it going to be too terrifying? Because I took her to the Eggers, and that was a mistake.
It's
Oh,
not
yeah.
it's not as terrible. There are some moments. There are some moments in the first.
Is it as so compared to like Fall of the House of Usher or Midnight Mass?
No,
like
it's
violence or scary levels.
There's the violence. I mean, scary level. Is
the
so
violence
hard to-
it's more like, I think jump scares are really like.
Yeah.
Like-
No, there's no jump scares. I think you could watch with Molly pretty easily.
Okay.
There's some pretty like intense stuff in the first episode. They basically as good as 3 films. I think they're an hour and a half each. First film is Dracula's Castle. Second film is Demeter. Third film is London.
Yeah,
But it's very different. and
that's a
it's-
cool way to break it up.
It's very good. Yeah, it gives the most does the most justice for the Demeter trip, and it does change what happens technically, but it makes it good.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, I rave about that show. You guys need to watch it.
All right.
All right.
Also, something to look forward to. Apparently, Chloe Zhao is working on a futuristic sci-fi western version of Dracula.
Okay.
It's just called Dracula.
I'm
It doesn't have a release date yet.
down.
But Chloe
Alright.
Zhao is a really talented filmmaker. If you haven't seen The Eternals, you guys wouldn't like it. It's Marvel. But of Marvel movies, it's pretty great, honestly.
Yeah. Okay.
And then a movie that won Best Picture a few years ago, Nomadland.
I think I missed that one too.
That's Frances McDormand is leading.
Okay. Okay.
So a talented filmmaker
Alright.
making a new take on Dracula.
Sweet.
All right. So I interrupt this horror talk to bring you my
The
pick.
feature.
My pick for the week is a double feature. It's about comedy.
In retrospect, we probably should have just said, and for the next episode, we will be talking about the new Nosferatu that comes out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm sorry for
did
your
it this
pick.
way instead.
Yeah.
So I picked I wanted to pick a couple comedies because after doing a review of the last really 2 years, I feel like it's the genre that's been the most skipped.
Yeah.
And so I want to do a couple comedies. I love Paul Giamatti. I did a Paul Giamatti double feature. So we did Sideways and Private Parts. We're going to start with Private Parts because it's the first movie we watched.
Do you want the description?
Yeah, go for it.
Letterboxd, 1997. Private Parts, directed by Betty Thomas. The life and career of shock jock superstar Howard Stern is recounted from his humble beginnings to his view from the top. Possessing a desire to be an on-air personality since childhood, Stern meanders through the radio world, always with his supportive wife, Allison, by his side. Landing a gig in Washington, D.C., Stern meets Robin Quivers. Was her name really Quivers?
Yeah, that's her name.
Who will become his longtime partner in crime. When the two move to New York, they face the wrath of NBC executives. And the tagline is, "Never before has a man done so much with so little."
And it's Robin Quivers because she was she was brought on as like the weather person or whatever, like originally. And like that's like weather people always have these fucking like crazy names like Windy Day and shit like that,
Yeah.
So I have a feeling if you looked it up, her original name was not Quivers, but like, I don't know, it's probably like her fucking
Cumsley.
weather person stage name or whatever. Like, but yeah. Anyway, this is kind of like an autobiographical comedy, and that there are 3 characters. Well, actually, I guess there are 4 characters total that play themselves, which are Howard Stern, and then basically the norms of the Howard Stern show, which are Robin Quivers, the guy Fred, and Jackie the Joke Man Martling, all play themselves. But I picked this movie just because I knew it'd be good for some laughs, even though it's not like the most critically acclaimed or like the fucking greatest film ever. It's
Yeah, it was entertaining.
I bet you both walked away thinking that was better than I thought it would be.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, I
definitely.
was.
And that's all
I
I,
was
wanted.
entertained, for sure.
I actually think that as far as just the laughter in the room, it probably was the most laughs in any movie that we've watched.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. You're comparing it to like Poor Things and stuff.
Yeah, Poor Things is pretty funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of these two, even though they're both comedies, we definitely got a lot more outlier laughs from Private Parts.
No, I had zero. I have never. I mean, I've only ever known of Howard Stern. I've never listened to him. And actually, on watching this, I didn't realize his heyday was like late 70s, early 80s. I thought he was more recent than that for some reason.
No,
I think the heyday was like late
90s,
80s. Early
yeah.
Okay,
So,
90s.
So a little historical. From 1990 to 2004, the Howard Stern Show collected in that 14-year span. Well, I guess it's 15 years. In that 15-year span, collected FCC fines in excess of $2.5 million, which is the most fines ever by one radio broadcast.
Yeah.
And he's still profitable.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
and that was the whole point. Is like he realized that like what people wanted and gave it to them. You know, you can't listen to an interview with him without him saying that like I love lesbians because lesbians equal ratings.
Yeah.
You know, he knows how to get to people.
No, it was interesting to watch. I'm fascinated by the kind of characters that happen in like. I'm not a fan. I don't watch the shit, but like professional wrestling, like I'm really fascinated by the characters that they are, and how they handle their characters and how they live their lives. Like I just watched that documentary on Netflix about fucking Vince McMahon, and I had that. He has that same kind of vibe, and especially he presents that same kind of vibe with this film. In that, like, okay, I have this loving family life, and I'm committed to my wife, but you know, like on the show, I'm a fucking madman.
Yeah. No.
And so, like, I can kind of appreciate that and see what he's doing, but. What I walked away from this movie the most with was like, I need confirmation that any of this shit was real. Because like the things that he presents in the movie, like, I just want to know if it's real.
Yeah.
Because he's presenting it on live air. He makes a woman fucking have an orgasm with a fucking bass speaker over the radio. Like, that's big news.
Honestly, I feel like
that's like a fucking...
Yeah.
That's a hell
that
of
was
a...
in the 90s, right? I feel like I would have heard of that.
Yeah.
That seemed like a pretty shocking thing.
I've actually listened to a lot of Howard Stern, and there's like really nothing in the movie that isn't just like every day on the radio.
Yeah. I know I've seen like some of the stuff he's done, like basically pornographic stuff on the radio.
But he doesn't. He always talks a big game, but he doesn't actually do anything. Like he likes to get these like porn stars and shit like completely naked on his set, because in the late 90s, early 2000s, it was actually like I can't remember what channel it was, but they actually like televised it. You know, it's like a podcast with video.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what it was. Like the Howard Stern Show was actually like a fucking 3-hour block, like fucking some channel ran it,
podcasting before
and it'd be like him getting a bunch of like porn stars and strippers and all kinds of shit in there and interviewing them, and they'd all get naked and want to fuck him, and like he'd talk such a big game. Be like, oh, I'm gonna do this to you, I'm gonna do that, but he would never do anything. Like it was just all a show, and it was just such good fucking content.
He has that was the connection I made immediately. Like, it's the same kind of thing, man. Like in that Vince McMahon show, he had this whole dialogue, this whole story arc going with his daughter marrying this dude, and then him fucking this other broad, and him and the broad that he's fucking are like drugging his wife, who is in on it. He drags out into fucking these stages. Like, it's kind of an impressive balance to maintain as a creative person to like pull any of that off. Like, you kind of got to give him that, you know? It's crazy.
And
weirdly, I think he's like super liberal now. Like, I think he's like in a good way. I feel like I think he's very progressive. I mean, honestly, not that weird. He's pretty progressive behavior.
He's pretty progressive.
On pushing like beliefs and stuff. Except like I do know, like the most recent I saw him like I heard him in a podcast recently, and he is very much like into like women's rights and stuff, and like
you know, like the no means no, and just the things that. Like,
I mean, if he wasn't, he
you would
couldn't
think
get
that-
away with these stuff
Yeah,
he's doing.
no,
It'd just
exactly,
be
yeah.
gross.
For
but
sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
like I mean, like he's very like he's not the person that he like presides to be in
Yeah.
the show, but I don't know.
Or just that he is, but that person is more complex than you want to give it credit for,
Yeah.
right? Like, yeah, you
Yeah.
seem like a dirtbag because you like lesbians, but at the same time, if you're like, yeah, fucking pro women's choice, like okay, well, in that context, all of a sudden, like,
Yeah.
yeah, I get it, guy. Like, okay,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's he's an interesting character.
Yeah,
For
I like
sure.
I like how they how he kind of recreates, which is funny because it's him playing all the roles, even
Yes.
the ones where he's like
Which-
way too old. to be
Yeah.
like-
I know he literally comments on the fact that he looks old for a teenager, but
Yeah.
like they made him look older because when he show him on the
They gave
airplane,
him like a mustache.
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
as they
makes
show him on the airplane at the beginning, I was like, oh, this guy's like 30, and then they show him as a teenager. He's like, you look like 45.
Yeah, yeah,
that
it's all,
haircut,
like,
the
part
glasses.
part of the bit. But I love how like early they show like early how he was like finding his voice, and like he does such a good job of sounding like a guy that's bad on the radio.
Yeah.
yes, yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
like how do I make myself sound like a guy who's like literally like the voice of radio
Yeah.
of all time, and like he makes himself sound bad, which
Yeah.
is really kind of brilliant. And I really love the like kind of like serious and tender moments with like the whole thing around his wife's miscarriage.
Yeah,
Yeah.
This is after he's like, I need to talk about my personal life. I need to not hold back. I
Right.
need to give them everything. And like, there's a scene where she has a miscarriage. She's all torn up, and like he comforts her. That's a really tender moment. And then he starts making jokes about like, yeah, we can keep it. You know, we'll put it in a
Yeah.
jar, call it Clumpy.
Right,
You
right.
know, it'll be our kid. We'll take it to show the grandparents
Right.
and like, and then he like basically continues those jokes into his show. And then you see the like big serious moment and like the effect
right.
of like she listens to that and hears it and is like fucking pissed off,
Yeah.
and like this is what this woman has been through.
Yeah. I was
Yeah.
like,
I mean,
God damn. Good. I guess
and they've been
good for
together
you for
forever.
She's a
sticking
fucking
around.
gem
Yeah.
Yeah,
to handle this shit.
And then they have like 4 kids or something.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
geez. If I was the wife, I'd be like, do I want to introduce people to this lifestyle? Maybe I'll not.
Yeah,
I'll have
oh,
one
and
kid.
they dance around that and look at that in the movie too. Like she's in the car with the old ladies listening to it, and she
Yeah.
ends up turning it off. And yeah, it's a weird,
I
it's
love
a weird dynamic,
I
almost
fucking-
unbelievable.
Okay,
Yeah.
so this was the Paul Giamatti double feature. We got to get to Paul Giamatti. I fucking love him as the antithesis in this film because he's like the ultimate like fucking fast talking New York, but probably from somewhere down south
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
dude, like the WNBC.
WNBC. I feel like he's played this exact character like a dozen times of
Yeah.
the executive that has to keep the creative person in line.
Yeah.
Like literally,
He takes the
I
challenge. I'll do it, and I love how they like he'll forever be called Pig Vomit to me. Like, I can't remember what his actual name is in the movie, but like it's enough like Pig Vomit. He just calls him Pig Vomit all the time. Like the way he like incorporates it into the show, like calling him Pig Vomit. He's like,
Yeah.
you know what? Let's go to his office right now. And he's actually just like, I'm outside Pig Vomit's office. And he's like, he attacked me. He slapped me. Like,
Yeah, it was definitely a very.
what should I do? Should I hit him back?
Right.
He like throws a piece of paper. And it's like, I hit him back. Like,
Yeah, it was a pretty entertaining movie, and if everything is as genuine as it's presented to be, then it
Yeah.
definitely is like kind of shines a different light on what it is. But I mean, you know, it's a
yeah,
movie, so
I appreciated what it was doing. I really liked it. It was very interesting way to tell your story, because I assume a studio just approached him and like, hey, we want to make a movie.
Yeah, they said they actually he read like 6 different screenplays,
Yeah.
and he basically read 5 screenplays that he was just like, no, before he read this one, and he was like, yeah, that's actually okay.
Yeah.
right.
Like he didn't want to tell the story the wrong way. He didn't want to over dramatize it or whatever,
Right,
you
right.
know, like he wanted it to be a fun movie and like actually go along with what
Like if you were to listen to the Howard
The essence
Stern show
of his
for 2
radio show.
hours,
It's fun.
that-
It's fun nonsense. Yeah.
And honestly, that's what I loved about it at the time. Is like I loved his show. I thought he was hilarious, and like that show just kind of incorporated that for people that otherwise probably wouldn't
Right.
have ever listened to him.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Sideways,
yeah, Sideways. Very different vibe. Paul Giamatti,
2004,
2004.
directed by Alexander Payne.
Indeed.
Two middle-aged men embark on a spiritual journey through Californian wine country. One is an unpublished novelist suffering from depression, and the other is only days away from walking down the aisle. And the tagline is, in search of wine, in search of women, in search of themselves.
So, according to Letterboxd, Paul Giamatti, as his Miles character, is suffering from depression.
Yeah.
Are we sure it's not just alcoholism?
I mean,
they
that's,
go hand in hand.
I
At the
think
end
it's
of the day, a lot of the time.
I mean, I feel like both the alcoholism and depression are just symptoms of like his total feeling like he's failed at everything
Yeah,
he wanted to be.
yeah.
So,
Which
I
that's,
have a
you know,
special
that
place
happens.
Yeah, it's
when
yeah.
you're just like, oh, everything sucks. This
Th-
has to be my fault, right? Yeah.
I have a
I-
special place in my heart for this film because I'm not a wine guy. Like I enjoy wine, but I'm not like
But you're a beer
My-
guy, so you can appreciate
well,
how serious
I'm
they
a beer
take it.
guy, so I
Yeah.
appreciate taking something seriously like that.
Yeah.
And like he uses words like quaffable, which I understand. You
Yeah.
know, like it sounds like fucking douchey as hell when you hear it, but like it doesn't to me because I
Yeah.
know what he means.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, as a person that's like, for any kind of drinking hobbyist of whatever thing you drink, like, you can definitely,
It's
you can appreciate the presentation
yeah.
because it's
So,
dedicated.
I kind of, if it wasn't for beer, I wouldn't have met my wife. And it's because of conversations I had as she was a bartender and me knowing about beer and us having mutual conversations. And after I'd been dating her for a few months and like we were like madly in love, and I asked her, I'm like, why do you like me? Like I don't understand. Like, cause she's the best like I've ever had to that point.
Right.
Just like, why do you like me? And she said, you're passionate. And like, and the thing is, she didn't even like blink. She's like, I like that you're passionate.
Right.
Like when you believe in something, you're stubborn about it. You believe in it, you fight for it. You know,
Right.
like she liked that about me, and that's fucking real. And
With the first scene he has, Paul Giamatti's character has talking to Virginia Madsen's character.
The
I was
scene-
like, I was literally gonna be like, is this why you like the movie? Because it just feels like it's about you, Dustin.
well, no, because that scene is about him, though, right? So you're talking about the scene where Thomas Hayden Church is banging the Stephanie chick in the other room, and they're just kind of he's asking how she got into wine.
That scene, yes, but even before that.
Oh, you're talking about the first scene,
the very first scene where they're talking together,
and
which
like
isn't
in the restaurant.
yeah.
yeah.
I was
okay.
like, is this just like
No.
exactly how you see?
No,
how
no,
you
no.
met
Actually,
Molly?
no. Actually, my favorite scene in the movie is the one I was talking about.
Yeah.
When Thomas Hayden Church is banging Stephanie in the other room, and so they're just kind of awkwardly like put together, like. And I've been in that situation before where my buddy was banging some chick in the other room, and I'm talking to the friend, and it's just like, so are we supposed to be banging now? You know, like I've been in that awkward like
Yeah.
spot, and so I've lived that. But what I love about the film, like the dialogue in that scene, when he's like, "So how did you get into wine, and what was the bottle that did it?"
Yeah.
You know, and then she asks, like, she gives her answer, and it's really genuine. And she said, "Why do you like Pinot so much?" And he starts talking about like how it's like this grape that's a survivor that like only grows in certain corners of the world, and it can't be too cold and it can't be too hot, and it doesn't want to be like too dry or too wet. And like she kind of realizes like he's describing himself, you
Yeah.
know, like. And that's kind of where she falls for him
Right.
in the movie.
Yeah.
And I really like dig that scene. I think it's a genuine conversation that you don't get in a lot of films outside of like dialogue heavy movies like Tarantino
Yeah.
shit and
Right,
stuff.
right.
You know.
This is a perfect example, along with The Godfather, of movies that I don't know why I rushed to watch so young. I think I watched this movie probably 10 to 12 years ago. So I was like 19 to 20. Like,
Right.
I was not appreciating this
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah,
and I was
yeah.
like, oh, yeah, it's a good movie. Like,
Right.
I did not relate to this movie in
Yeah,
any
yeah.
way. So I definitely appreciated a rewatch and related to it, obviously, significantly more this
Yeah,
time.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, especially like the moment that these guys are dealing with are just very like poignant moments. For
Yeah.
a person when they reach that age. Like this is like anybody that has been there, like this is a super identifiable moment, you know? Like,
Yeah.
you just don't know what the fuck you're doing at all. Like you think you've lived life, but you haven't lived life, and you thought it would be this and it's not that. And like, yeah, it's just a fun experience to see you guys kind of fumble through it, you know, fictionally, and nice to see somebody come out on the other end. Pretty
Yeah.
Not a lot of parts. I mean, like just a handful of actors in the film.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think Thomas Hayden Church is fucking
He's really
brilliant
great.
in this role.
Yes.
Like
He's so
good.
funny and charming.
And like I love how it's just he probably says at least 5 times in the movie, well, it tastes good to me. You know, because like fucking Miles likes to get up in it, like talking about all the like little
Yeah,
subtleties
yeah.
of the taste and all that. And he's like, "Wow, it tastes good to me." And he's like Nate White, like in
Yeah.
my group for the Kettleheads,
Right.
he's Nate White. Where it's just like, it'll get you drunk.
Yeah. No, it was funny, like, because I'm into beer, but I'm not any fucking kind of snob level. I'm not like that versed, but it's still funny to just watch somebody have something just completely wasted on them. Because like even like I'm not like the biggest into it, but I share it with people, and they're just like, yeah. Fucking Coors or Bush,
Oh,
you know.
the scene with Miles and Jack when he's teaching him how to taste, like how to smell it.
Oh
first.
yeah, that was
Like
a
really
fun
get your
scene.
nose in there, and he's
Yeah.
like, "What do you get?" He's like, "I get hints of strawberry and blackberry and jasmine and just a little bit of a nutty kind of a cheese." And he's just like, "Well, I get the strawberry, not the cheese though."
Yeah.
I totally relate to Miles and his character in that spot, and honestly,
I think all the characters are pretty relatable, really. Like,
oh
for
yeah,
where
and
they-
both
who
the
they
chicks
and
are
where
like
they
super
are.
hot. Like they're like,
oh, yeah. Sandra. Oh, goddamn.
oh yeah, Sandra Oh is like super hot. And
Sandra.
like,
Oh, my God.
oh,
If only I had a snare and a hat right now.
the scene where like what's funny is Miles is obviously a little bit of an alcoholic, and
A little bit.
and you could like make the case that Jack might be a little bit of a sex addict because he's like,
Or just an asshole.
well, I mean,
Yeah,
he's
I mean, he
like,
seems a bit
I
of
mean,
an
like,
asshole.
he makes it very clear from the like, I'm getting laid this weekend, and I'm getting you laid. You know, like
He didn't make it clear to them,
Yeah,
though.
he didn't make it clear to the
He
people
didn't make
that
it
matter.
clear to the women. Not in the least.
and he's not like he's like saying shit like I love you and all this stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And then like as soon as that doesn't work out, he like bangs some like fucking fat middle aged like waitress.
Yeah.
who's
He's like, oh, wow,
also
you didn't
married.
learn your lesson at all.
And you get, like,
She's
most
the grateful
awkward-
type. You know what I mean?
You get the most awkward
Yeah.
dick shot
No,
ever. As
he's-
this dude's chasing him down the
He
highway.
definitely is not any kind of a decent person.
No.
Like,
And
at
I
all.
love the scene where like he's just like, oh, I'll drive, and then he just like immediately just like bangs it into it 15 miles an hour. It's just like, dude, that didn't do anything.
Such an ass.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, charming throughout the film, but yeah, definitely just not a good guy whatsoever. No, these are fun movies to watch, and they're fun movies to watch together. It's a
Yeah.
like a pretty
Nothing in
smooth
common,
transition.
really, besides Paul Giamatti. But
Yeah. Hey, you know what? They don't have to have things in common. You know, I once did Barry Gordy's The Last Dragon and The Edge of Tomorrow.
Yeah.
as a
It's
double
true.
Feature, and we let it happen.
Yeah.
And
It was
like,
enjoyable.
it doesn't matter. All you need to do is watch 2 movies. And you know what? When you go to the
Barry
theater,
Gordy
when you go
is
to the
sweet.
drive-in, normally what you get is a lighthearted PG-13 or under film is the first movie, and then the second leg is just whatever rated R film is.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's kind of how they do it.
That's
Like,
true.
that is how they do it. And so all you need is 2 films, and one of them be slightly more lighthearted than the other.
Yeah.
You've got a double feature.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
well, Is that a wrap on your double feature there?
That is a wrap on the double feature. We got through that and Nosferatu in pretty good time, I think.
Yeah.
Pretty
Perfect timing, really, for Nosferatu, because comedies are very easy to talk about.
Yeah.
So, Reese, why don't you tell us what's going to be in theaters, and then whose pick is it? Is it yours?
It's my pick, yeah.
All right, so Reese, you have the floor for the rest of the episode.
Shut the fuck up.
I will just interrupt you for heckling.
Okay. This weekend, unfortunately, is a pretty slim for new releases, but there's stuff to catch up on. So
That hat looks like you're gonna about to go fucking audition for the new Popeye movie.
Okay, so weirdly, the best Christmas pageant ever is still in theaters. If you're really, really itching to see a Christmas movie in January,
Just hold on to the feeling.
That title makes me want to murder.
Yeah.
Some movie called Homestead.
You know what? If it was called the second best Christmas pageant ever, I would be way more.
Yeah,
The second best
intrigued.
little Christmas whorehouse in Texas. Okay. Wow, there's some shit in theaters. Goddamn. Okay. Wicked is still breaking records, so Wicked is of course still in theaters. I think there's got like the sing-along version now too. I don't know.
Oh Jesus.
Where they have the lyrics on the screen.
Yeah, and you can actually sing along because they were having issues with people in the theater singing along. It's like, guys,
because they've seen it for the fourth time. And
Yeah,
other
just
people
you know,
watching it for the
no,
first
because
time.
they've seen the Broadway version,
Yeah,
and so
yeah.
they know all the
Okay.
songs.
Yeah, no, so it's pretty good to just be like, okay, you go over here.
Yeah,
You
go to
guys-
the
you guys
sing
can sing
along.
your heart out.
So
Yeah.
this reminds me of back in the day, what is now the Z Hotel in Warsaw, Indiana, used to be the Lake Theater, and it was the small shitty theater.
Yes,
And
I remember that one.
At the end of it, they started doing
missed it.
these midnight showings of old movies, which they did Rocky Horror, and I saw at least 3 times their Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
Ugh.
And every single time it was fucking terrible.
Oh, that's true. That sounds
half
bad.
the audience would be saying the lines, and you could tell these guys are fucking off their goddamn rocker on something. And it's just you've literally got echoes in the theater of people fucking reciting the lines as they happen. It's God damn it, everybody shut the fuck up or I murder all of you.
Yeah.
But anyway. So I kind of get that vibe with Wicked if people are doing that shit, and I sympathize with those that are watching it for the first time.
Well, I
Especially-
also can
that's the
appreciate the people that enjoy it that much because I got to see Rocky Horror.
Oh
in
no,
theater.
the Rocky Horror is completely different.
Well, no, I'm
That's-
just saying.
Yeah,
Just as far as I got a better taste for that kind of a thing, some audience doing something when I watched Rocky Horror in our theater in town.
yeah.
And it was all based on that, the audience being involved and saying things and interacting. So I can appreciate the people that are prone to do that.
Well, I
but it
appreciate
makes-
wanting to do it too,
Yeah,
just
yeah,
not
exactly.
not
Fear
in a
and Loathing
theater.
on Broadway would be.
Well, no,
fucking
but it
sweet.
makes sense to segregate.
Yeah, make the sing along. I'm totally
here we go,
fine with the
this
sing along
is for
version.
you over here.
I'm just not gonna go.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't like people talking when I'm trying to watch a movie.
Yeah.
No. And I also don't really get the point of people who just sit there and recite the entire script. The music is one
These
thing,
people
but
were either drunk or high as fuck on
Yeah.
something
But I mean,
that wasn't weed because they were
Yeah.
way too chatty.
Yeah.
okay, in theaters, if Wicked seemed too original and you got scared, then don't worry. We have Mufasa, the prequel to the live action Lion King.
And it's also live action, right?
It's also quote unquote live action.
More-
There was a live action Lion King.
Yeah,
Yes.
4 years ago.
So I don't know about you guys, but
It's not really live action.
I don't like the live action.
No, they're all bad. Literally every
Uh,
single one of them are bad.
The one that I thought was decent was the Mowgli.
Jungle Book,
The Jungle Book one that had Bill Murray as Baloo.
yeah.
I thought that one was
it's-
actually pretty good.
It's the best, and it benefits from the fact that the effects are really, really good.
Yeah.
Some of the best you've seen of those kinds. But it's ultimately, it's still like a 3 out of 5 movie, because it's just you're not bringing anything new to the story.
No.
yeah.
The aesthetic-
It's got a good cast. Christopher Walken.
Yeah, the cast is good.
The aesthetic falls off for me every time I see, or any time I've seen images from the film. I don't like like the presentation of the animals, like
Yeah.
that animation, it seems like surreal. It seems
The Lion King one?
yeah, like
Yeah.
all the
It
time.
doesn't
have
make
you
any
seen
sense.
the Mowgli one,
Well,
the Jungle Book? Have you seen that?
I haven't
live
watched any of them. I've just seen like bits and pieces
Yeah.
from the
I
trailers.
think
But I'm
they're
just
not worth-
Bill Murray's fucking. It's honestly like gold level Bill Murray shit.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure it is. I'm just talking about the actual animation, like when they
Oh, yeah.
animate.
No, it's completely different. The Jungle Book one, they're animated. They're very like interesting, good looking creatures. In the Lion King, they're going for some reason total realism.
Yeah, when
so it
well,
looks
that's-
like a real lion.
Well,
moving
that's
its
what
lips.
I'm saying. That's what I'm talking about. Is it doesn't look like a real
Yeah.
lion. That's what they're trying to do. It's like so much more textured than a lion would
Yeah.
appear that it's like grating to me. Like
Yeah.
especially as an artist, like I'm looking at it, I'm like, I know you're trying hyperrealism, but you tried too hard. Like that
But then
doesn't nothing flows about it. It doesn't look okay.
And so they're just fucked both ways because
Yes.
it doesn't look realistic and it also doesn't look interesting because they are not
No,
emoting in the slightest.
Exactly. There's no
Yeah.
there's no real flair to it. Like it's just what the fuck is the point?
I don't know who would be going to see Mufasa. I definitely wouldn't recommend it. There's better shit to see. Moana 2 is in theaters.
So I need to ask your guys' advice on this because you know that I'm the last one to see like kids films like this, but
I don't watch Disney kids films, so I am not the guy there.
My wife loves Moana and like she wants me to watch Moana with her so that I can go take her to see Moana 2 because she knows that that's a prerequisite. I won't go see a sequel if I haven't seen the original.
Right.
Which I'll take that back. I think I did watch Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs 2 without seeing the original.
But you've regretted it to this day.
Well, I saw the original later. It wasn't bad.
No, those movies are fun.
It was fun. It was fun
Okay.
enough. But anyway, should I watch this
So
movie?
I think Moana, the first one, is a totally adequate Disney movie. It's very pretty. The songs are very good, right?
There are songs.
There's always
it's a Disney
there's
princess
Disney
movie. Of course, there's
Yeah.
songs. But it's just fine. It's not exceptional to me. Now, of course, there's people who
Well,
relate
see,
to it
this
more.
This is why I wanted to ask you specifically because I know you give it to me straight because she sold me on some bullshit before.
Yeah, see,
I watched the Lorax. That movie's fucking the worst thing I've ever seen, man. It's it's very tree hugging, which I am not like. I'm all about saving the earth,
yeah.
but it was so tree hugging that I wanted to burn the earth down. You know, like it
Just
was,
to get him to shut
it,
the
was-
fuck up.
it was a little too much for me.
Yeah.
Yes, it was a little too much.
the fuck out?
No, so I would say I think Moana is probably worth a watch. You'll probably think, have a fine time. It's not a bad movie. I don't think you should go pay to see Moana 2 in theaters. And I'm sorry for Molly's sake if she
No,
doesn't get to see it
like,
for that. But
yeah.
I don't think it doesn't look worth supporting to me.
Okay.
I mean, most of those sequels, I would say, are not.
Yeah,
gonna
there's
be like. I think a lot of those films, the first is solid, and like so many of that just genre of film, the second is so clearly just like
yeah.
a cat.
Well,
John,
they
have you done any Moana tattoos?
shit ton.
A
Really?
shit ton?
I mean, like a good grip, but I mean, you do if you tattoo, you do a shit ton of Disney tattoos.
yeah,
By
that makes
default.
sense. Yeah.
Shit ton of.
I'm just
all
wondering
Disney.
if there's a correlation between the number of tattoos you've done and like the
Quality
adequacy of the
of the
movie.
film.
Like you've done a shit ton of like Stitch tattoos,
Yeah.
right? From Lilo and
ass ton.
Nightmare Before Christmas.
Shit and ass.
Stitch. Well, that's not a Disney movie though.
No, that is a
It
Disney
is.
movie.
Yeah, it's a Disney movie.
Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah.
Christmas
Yeah,
is
yeah.
a
Oh,
Disney
yeah.
movie.
Yeah.
For sure. That's the most.
Of course.
Stitch,
Oh yeah.
Stitch
Jack
is really
Skellington.
high. Most of them are pretty high.
What about Big Hero 6?
No.
No?
Stitch,
I'll tell
actually,
you what,
Stitch
man.
is
Give
like
it 5
number
more
2.
years, you'll be getting Big Hero
How
6
did
requests.
they not make a sequel to Big Hero 6? Because
I don't know.
I actually thought that film was kind of brilliant.
This is the stupidest thing, right? Because they make sequels to fucking Moana and Frozen. And the reason they're bad sequels is because they don't make these movies with the plan of building a world. Because that's not what you want to go
it's just,
for.
It's a story. It's a
But
princess
then
story.
you get movies like Big Hero 6 or Treasure Planet or
I need to
Atlantis.
see Treasure Planet.
These
Yeah.
like really
Oh,
cool
Atlantis was really good.
sci-fi worlds where there's plenty of room for a sequel, and then you don't get one. I mean, they made one for Atlantis, but it was
Yeah.
like really.
I would
cheap
say that
at
even
best.
applies to the when I watched this last year, Titan AE. Like
Yeah,
that's a sweet.
there's room
universe.
for a
Like,
sequel there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's not room for hence the problem. So it's the same same kind of problem with the sequel of Gladiator 2. It's like you don't really give a fuck about a sequel about a princess or a prince. It's like they did the thing.
Yeah.
Like what the fuck is the sequel gonna be other than just them being the thing? Like,
yeah. I don't. We
gives a
get so
shit?
many movies or things like Battle Angel Alita, right? These things that is it always sci-fi? Just no one. Maybe people just don't go see sci-fi.
Actually,
I think
sucks.
I think that is.
I will never forget the Oscar acceptance speech, Peter Jackson for Lord of the Rings: Return of the King. The first thing he said in his Oscar acceptance speech for Best Picture was, "I want to thank the Academy for recognizing fantasy
Yeah.
because I know that that's rare."
Yeah. It's stupidly rare.
And I guess you said something to me the other day. You said that you thought that Lily Depp was like an Oscar-worthy performance.
Yeah.
And I was like, really? And it's like, I don't disagree with you. I want to, like, because I think you thought that I disagreed with you, and I didn't.
Yeah.
I just didn't think of it in those terms because you said Oscar-worthy, and to me, the Oscars don't acknowledge horror, and historically have not acknowledged horror.
Besides Get Out and like nothing else.
But I mean, like, did it win? Like, what did it win? Like
I think it won screenplay.
Yeah, but that was because of that wasn't because of the horror aspect. I mean, that was because that was another revolution in filmmaking. I mean,
yeah. Well, Shape of Water was the first science fiction movie to ever win Best Picture, and then Everything Everywhere shortly after.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's pathetic. It's pathetic how much these genres are ignored.
Yeah.
When they're like usually the best movies we get in a year.
They're also like of all, like, I watch a lot of series, and all the series that I've seen that have been canceled prematurely, they're all sci-fi series, and it's because people don't know how to market them. They don't know how to market them to everyday people.
That's the thing. It's niche. You can't market that to everyday people.
Yeah, but it's like some of the best fucking content.
No, I know it is, but
this is why I'm shocked. I keep pinching myself that Dune is successful.
This is me as an artist speaking, as a functioning artist, like the better things are not what sell.
Yeah.
That's why these things are what they are, and that's
why Mufasa probably made a good chunk of money at the box.
It is what it is.
You can make them that because I never would have, like, in the 90s and early 2000s, like in my heyday, you never would have gotten me to believe that, like, there was going to be a litany of, like, fucking comic hero based films. And that the entire fucking world was going to be just eating.
No, I know. I don't know where that came from either. I don't either because it doesn't make that much sense. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But
they just made it palatable.
So the thing is, like, it is, but it's the pop. So all comic books are, and I bitch about this all the time. I say this to people all the time. Comic book stories are just sci-fi and fantasy, but just really dumbed down.
Yeah.
Those are the key words. They make them more palatable to more people. You know, like, it's a sci-fi concept without a bunch of trappings and complexity, and it's just wrapped up in this guy with a familiar name and a cool-looking suit. Like,
that's probably
why people like it.
It's a good reason why I think the MCU is floundering a little right now, is because they're getting to the point where every project isn't made for everyone.
Yeah.
And so, like She-Hulk is made for 40% of our audience, and then 80% of our audience watches it, and 40%, like half of that 80% fucking hates it because it wasn't made for them.
For sure.
But they're like, well, it's MCU, it should be made for me, you know, like. But things are made for different people.
Yeah,
I just remember before Marvel made X-Men, the original X-Men.
Yeah.
Their stock was 3 cents a share.
Yeah.
Before that movie premiered, their stocks was 3 cents a share. Like, you could be a fucking billionaire. Like, seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, like, that's nothing. Like, in the fucking business world, 3 cents a share is like, that's penny stocks, you know? Like, they don't even sell that on Wall Street. But, like,
hey, you buy a couple thousand shares of that, like you'd be fucking rich.
Yeah.
There's that's
No, yeah. Sci-fi, fantasy, all that stuff's always going to be. It just doesn't appeal to everyone, so it's not going to get the accolades.
Sorry.
The people giving accolades want to give them to people where they're going to get the most response from the audience. So
I think
we kind of got in the weeds there.
yeah, well, yeah. I think Nosferatu will get a ton of nominations, and it might sweep in technical awards. But yeah, it's probably not going to get any kind of Best Picture or even acting wins.
The
It
foreign
might get some nominations.
There's
it's not gonna
some
get
foreign
wins.
language film that I saw like cleaned up at the Golden Globes. It was like Amelia Lopez.
Oh yeah, it's
Or
why I think the lead is Zoe. Is it? No, but yeah, I think it's a Spanish film.
yeah.
It doesn't sound too good to me. It's because it sounds like kind of like you're just playing around with some buzzwords. It's a Mexican cartel person who's forced to transition to being a woman, or vice versa. I don't remember. And then it's also a musical.
Oh,
yeah.
that's fucking weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's not based on anything, obviously, and it's like kind of a comedy musical drama weird thing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It sounds like it's trying to.
I think it's already on Netflix, honestly. But yeah, it's apparently been getting a lot of awards buzz.
My prediction is that Timothy Chalamet will win Best Actor.
Yeah, it might be his time.
I think that is my prediction for Complete Unknown, and I think that just give him the fucking like. I don't see who's topping that. Like I feel like anybody that sees the movie is just like, okay,
Yeah,
that's the Best Actor this year.
yeah. I don't even know what other performances would be in talks for that right now. I don't know if Bike Riders would be. I don't know. Also in theaters, Moana 2. Sorry, I don't think you should see it.
Yeah.
Also in theaters, Sonic 3.
I haven't seen the first two. Should I see the third one?
No.
Or should I watch the first two and then go see the third one?
It looks a little more story driven as far as
I hear people like it. A lot of people.
they're fun. They're fun movies, but they're not.
Are they?
I watched the first one, and it didn't like piss me off, but I don't know why. Like, I played Sonic a bunch when I was a kid. Sonic actually does kind of have a cool world built in
Yeah.
to the story. Like, there's a guy, Dr. Robotnik, trying to destroy the world and all this jazz and mechanize everyone and take away everyone's individuality and stop natural life. So, like, there's an okay story to the Sonic world. Watch the first movie. It's like, okay, Sonic's on Earth. My only reaction was like, why?
Yeah.
I don't want to see Sonic in Detroit or Chicago.
It's just
Sonic
weird to me that Sonic interacts with real humans.
No,
it doesn't
that's-
make sense to me.
It was super forced. I don't know why they did it. As a fan of the game, like, I immediately was just like, I don't care.
Oh, you're a fan of one game, but the Sonic fan base is weird. They're
No.
I think it's like 70% furries at this point.
Probably. I liked the games, and I thought the game was cool,
No,
but that's
Dustin,
probably the case.
I don't think the Sonic movies are for you.
No,
yeah,
hell no.
I knew
Hell
they
no.
weren't.
Hell no.
That was just for content purposes.
Then
I was like I said, I was disappointed though, because like
I see
could have
Jim
been
Carrey in
okay,
that fucking
but-
mustache. I'm like, I'm not watching this movie.
Yeah.
there's somebody took the screenshot from Nosferatu where he's looking up and pointed out that it looks just like Bill or Jim Carrey in the Sonic movies.
I buy
It's
it.
very
That's
funny.
pretty good.
Then we got the big three that came out on Christmas Day. We've all seen at least one of them. Nosferatu, I think we all endorse seeing in theaters. A Complete Unknown. I think Dustin.
Movie of 2024 that
Gives
I've
it-
seen so far.
Would you call it 2 thumbs up?
I stand by this. It's the best biopic I've ever seen.
Well, better than Social Network.
It's the best biopic I've ever seen.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. And this is the movie I didn't get to earlier, Baby Girl. This is still in theaters. It's kind of weird that it's playing in Warsaw. It's very like erotic and kinky. It's got a lot of sex in it. It's a great Nicole Kidman performance. I really enjoyed it.
Is she the one having sex in all these sex scenes?
Yeah, I think
She's never
every.
been shy of like baring her tits to the camera.
No, yeah, she shows it all. I think Yeah, it's
I'm
only
a
she's
huge
the only.
Nicole Kidman fan. I'm not gonna
She's
lie.
a fucking killer actress.
Yeah,
She's one of my favorite female actors.
I really, really recommend seeing.
She
these.
she
super
always
confident.
her characters always come across as like smart and sexy and like
Yeah.
Yeah.
totally dig her. I actually think that Eyes Wide Shut I think is one of the most underrated films ever. I mean, especially for that director. I mean,
Right.
Yeah.
Just a huge advocate for her shit.
Then the only new release we have coming out is Den of Thieves 2.
Oh, so fun story about that because I saw the trailer twice on Christmas Day, and I was like,
Thanks, North Point.
and I kind of like the second time I saw it was only like 3 hours removed from the first time I saw it, and like it kind of gave me wonder all over again. Like, wait, what is this again? Like, I know I just saw this trailer 3 hours ago, but what is this? I'm like, oh, Den of Thieves. Oh, 2. Oh, it's a sequel.
It's
And it's
so
like, I had to be
strange.
reminded twice that it was a sequel. I'm like, when did this movie come out?
Yeah.
And so we did this like little research, and Molly actually the next I had to work the next day, but the day after Christmas, she actually watched Den of Thieves, the first one.
Yeah.
She's like, holy fuck, was that movie bad?
Oh, okay. I was gonna say it looks like literally every other generic Gerard Butler movie, and then all of a sudden you're getting a sequel to one of them. Like,
Yeah, it's
oh,
ju-
did it
it's
do
just like the
good
most
in this
generic-
box?
Yeah.
Generic.
Where? How?
It's just like the most generic like heist movie ever.
Yeah.
And like just like basically she's watching it like free from a streaming service. And
Yeah.
like she's like it was rough to finish.
Yeah,
So I don't know how they would make a sequel.
Yeah.
You know, like
Heist movies are just God. There's not very
I'm
many
just-
good ones.
I'm just trying to think like the people in the theater that are like, oh fuck, they're making a sequel to Den of Thieves. Fuck, we're gonna
Well-
come watch this motherfucker.
Yeah.
I maybe they're going for. They're hoping to get people interested. Like they're gonna go
Right.
like, "Oh, Den of Thieves 2?
Oh,
I'll go home and watch
I've
Den
seen
of
the first one.
Thieves."
That could backfire
then-
easily.
Jesus Christ,
And
that
then
is
look-
not a good business
Yeah.
model.
Molly watched it.
Yeah.
They got a view.
That is true.
But you're not going to watch the second, so bad marketing.
Well, here's another thing. I saw this. They put this up, the first one up on Vudu like 2 weeks ago. It was on sale for like $1.50, and I was like, I got $1.50, so I bought it. There you go.
You bought Den of Thieves?
Yeah, for $1.50.
Nice. Have you seen it yet?
No, I probably
You
won't
spend
watch it.
$1.50 on it.
It's in my collection.
I'll watch it with you.
Okay, come over. We'll get rip roaring
Yeah.
inebriated.
We'll do some mystery. We should watch it at John's, and we'll position ourselves all in the sofa so we can do like the mystery science thing.
Yeah.
And then for some reason, Kraven the Hunter is back in theaters.
Oh my
Back.
god, dude!
How's it back?
I don't know.
That,
I don't
that-
know.
that
I didn't
movie-
know that it went, but I wouldn't know how it would be
I'm
back.
pretty sure it bombed.
That movie is a record for me because I feel like I have been like in the theater. I have seen trailers for that movie for like a year and a half.
Yeah.
Like I feel like a year and a half ago, I went and saw a movie and saw a trailer for Kraven the Hunter. And then
No,
it
I
took-
think that's literally possible because it did get pushed back like 2 or 3 times.
yeah, and then
Ugh.
just
Yeah.
the classic like.
Just no.
And also, the first time I saw the trailer, I felt like I got a grasp of the entire movie.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
they,
you
they
did.
gave me everything I needed.
Well, on top of that, they've put out like 3 or 4 different trailers, and each time they kind of are making it look like a completely different movie. And every single time, it's like, this movie looks terrible.
Yeah. Why? Just stop.
And then this comes out next week, but obviously we won't have an episode next week. We'll be
Right.
watching our movie. But Wolfman does come out next week, so maybe we can talk about it on the next episode.
I'm gonna make an effort to. See
Yeah, I
that.
kinda wanna make an
they've
effort to
never
see
done
that,
it
too.
right, and I really feel like
Maybe they'll finally do it.
the chick from
Yeah.
the Jason Bateman series Ozark, she was the best part of Ozark, and this is kind of the first like theatrical role I've really seen her in, and so I want to see if it carries over. I'm already a little annoyed at the horror tropes of the car breaking down because that's just in every fucking horror movie, but
Yeah.
Yeah,
I feel like I need to give it a go.
as a horror person, I'm like I've been past that shit for like 15 years now. Like,
Yeah.
I'm so tired of that. Of
Yeah.
the tropes.
If either of you watched the 2020 movie The Invisible Man,
I haven't seen like
No?
2020.
I've heard that.
Yeah.
I've heard
Yeah,
mixed
yeah,
things
I
about
think
it.
Yeah.
so. Yeah.
With
I've seen the original.
Elizabeth Moss from Mad Men.
Yeah.
That's the same director as the new Wolfman movie.
Was-
and he
was
also
that movie
directed.
Good? Did you?
It was
It was fine.
It was fine. It was
It-
better than I was maybe expecting because it's
Yeah.
a really cheap movie. But
Was it
yeah, it
better
was
than
fine.
Hollow Man? Where like
I haven't seen Hollow Man, so.
You never saw Hollow Man? Oh my
No.
god, that's a fucked up movie.
But then also same director did the movie Upgrade.
Okay,
So-
Upgrade is good.
Yeah.
I
So,
do
If you
get
want some
behind
hope for
Upgrade.
Wolfman,
Yeah.
So Hollow Man was Kevin Bacon, and it's like I don't remember exactly what the specifics were, but like somebody basically has some kind of serum or something to where he can become invisible. And
Yeah,
he,
it's a take on. The
he
Invisible
basically
Man
becomes the
thing.
Invisible Man, but he chooses, if I can be invisible all the time and nobody can see me, what will I do? I'll become a serial rapist.
Yeah, you didn't take very long.
And that's
to come to that.
really what it turned into.
Yes,
It's just
yeah.
like, okay, he's just invisible, raping all these women.
Yeah.
It's pretty weird.
okay, so that's what's playing in theaters.
All right, watch movies, folks.
All right, Reese.
And then my pick.
Picks.
So I was stuck between I was kind of thinking like maybe do you guys want to keep on the vampire bandwagon? Because I came up with a vampire double feature that I think would be fun, but and then just in case we didn't want to do vampires, I thought of another pick. And over the course of the episode, I'm like, I don't know, maybe we did pretty good on vampires for now.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Second, I would say whatever your second choice
Yeah,
is.
and so speaking of why you did comedies this week, we've only done the Ballad of Buster Scruggs as far as westerns.
Ooh, yeah. Oh,
nice.
I'm excited. Let's do some
So
westerns.
we are returning to the consistently enjoyable country of Korea to watch 2008's The Good, the Bad,
Oh,
and the Weird.
Thank you. I've been wanting to pick that. Fantastic.
And this is from the director of I Saw the Devil.
yeah.
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 I've seen it. Well, it came out in 2008, so I probably saw it on DVD in like 2009.
Yeah.
It's fucking awesome. I love it
Yeah.
so much.
I've been wanting to rewatch this movie
but I haven't.
for so long.
Yeah, I haven't seen it since, and I really want to give it another viewing. So yeah, that's what I'm going with.
Sweet.
It's a comedy western from South Korea. South Korea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Longer film, I assume.
It's only 2 hours 10 minutes, so I thought we could throw in an episode of Twin Peaks.
Okay.
To fill out the
Sounds
evening.
good.
And I think it's available on AMC and Amazon, so
Nice.
we should be able to watch it.
Hell
Sweet.
yeah.
Hell yeah.
Excited for that.
All right.
Cool,
Well,
cool.
That's going to do it for our coverage of episode 42 of Fuck This Movie.
Thanks for tuning in.
Hell
Still
yeah,
listening?
motherfucker.
Fuck off.